Think so? What am I?
So,
yeah. All right.
2, 1. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Nick Haling Podcast. I am Nick Haling, and we got some special guests today for you. Introduce yourselves.
well, my name is Marcus.
What's up, guys? I'm Sway.
All right, guys, and glad to have you on the show today. And
It'll be even better.
yeah, well, I mean, they're not. It's just we gotta get. I just have to get a stupid stand. I mean, we literally had to duct tape a goddamn to
Hey, this works.
to a pillow, but you know it's okay. You know you gotta show the progression. You know you start here and then
you know what?
you get something a little bit better.
It's a rags to riches story is what it's gonna end up becoming
I
right
like
there.
that.
Is what it's gonna be.
But in the meantime, we're having a lot of fun, right?
Exactly. So basically you contacted me about wanting to be on the show, and Marcus decided to come with you.
Yeah, more like I knew you were doing this podcast,
Mhm.
so I kind of I personally myself, I don't know about you guys, but I like watching podcasts. And my buddy here, Marcus, he we get into a lot of what would you say, conversations about a lot of different subjects at work, and I saw your podcast, and be like, it's a great opportunity for all of us to not only have a good time, but like also bring Marcus here and bring like a good element of conversation to all this.
Yeah, awesome. And Marcus, what about you? What made you wanted to come out and do this? What was your idea to want to podcast it up a little bit?
Well, first of all, thank you for such a a wonderful introduction there. I'm glad that I am looked at as someone who can bring good things to the table. You're also a wonderful conversationalist, Sway, and I'm glad that you're here.
All right, let's not go sucking each other's dicks now here. Let's calm down here.
Yeah, we get a lot of love for each other.
Hey, you gotta show a little love every once in a while, man. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just like to talk. I think that anybody who knows me knows that I'm a talker. We're a breed. We're a specific type of breed. Not a lot of people can just sit there and just rant on about anything.
It's not just random stuff either. It's not like he just talks to you about his day. It's informational stuff, like stuff that's going on in the world today. News. Sports. Like Dennis Rodman, right? That guy. Have you guys seen his face?
Oh my
lately?
god.
He's like, he was like bawling on he's like crying on.
He was crushed. He was crushed. He was so happy and so sad at the same time, where he was just like, oh my god, we're doing this for the people. It's the people that we're doing this for. It's nobody else. You don't understand. We're trying to make it happen.
Well, I feel pretty bad for the guy, to be honest with you. I mean, he is.
You feel bad for Dennis Rodman.
He's a great basketball player. Okay, he is. Let's not forget the fact
that he was
an amazing basketball player, and at one point in time, he was actually.
Was he when he was in the Bulls, right? When he was in the Bulls,
he played basketball for the Bulls. He was a movie star. He was in several films.
He was
also a bad boy Piston. Don't forget that.
Okay, well,
with Bill Laimbeer and Isaiah Thomas and all of them.
He had an illustrious career, regardless, and to see him devolve the way that it appears he has is a little sad.
He was already devolving when he was in the NBA, though. Don't forget that when he was in the NBA and he got married to Carmen Electra, he wore a wedding dress to his wedding.
I still feel like at that point in time,
don't forget they called him the Worm, and he would dye his hair a different color every week. Like, don't take away from the weirdness factor of him.
But didn't you have a good laugh at that version of Dennis? I mean, I think that we can all agree that what we saw the other day, that was sad. I mean, he that was pathetic. I mean, he doesn't even look like himself anymore. The man's had so much plastic surgery on his face, I don't even recognize the guy anymore, to be honest with you.
And his best friend is Kim Jong-un. I mean, we're just gonna gloss over that part. Yeah, it's like. But you know what? I have a theory about this whole North Korea thing. So Dennis Rodman and Kim Jong-un are best friends. And Rodman keeps coming to North Korea, and he's probably like, bro, do you have any idea how awesome Las Vegas is? Do you have any idea how fucking cool going to the Aria on a Friday night, going in the clubs, and having a good time? Oh my God. And he's just been doing this for years and years and years. And finally, Un's just like, all right, let me kill a couple old uncles in the old regime real quick, get that out of the way, and then we're gonna go party in Las Vegas. And they're like, cool, let's do it. And I swear to God, that's how it's gone down right now.
Well, if that is true, you know, the world is a really fucked up place because
or Las Vegas is a really awesome place.
The United States political stage is their playground, and you know, what the fuck does that say about our country?
Everything.
You don't know what to expect anymore.
This country was paid and bought for a long time ago. Sorry, so I'm looking at my phone right now. I'm just making sure that we're live and popping, which we are. We have comments even coming in, which makes us see, that's what I didn't want to happen.
Don't do that.
See, now I'm giving away the content on the content.
That's technology.
That's like, you know what that's like? That's like, what's that movie with Leo DiCaprio where he's going into their dreams?
Inception.
That's some Inception. That's like the show inside of the show. All right, but
breaking the barriers.
So we've got.
That's how we do it.
We've got people, dude. We're breaking divides left and right. That's all we're trying to do here. It's just
people like conversations, and TV is boring as shit.
You know what though? What is up with that? Why do people like? I mean, like, remember when we were kids? We didn't watch interviews or like we didn't watch people just talking. You know, like what is up with that now? A lot of people just want.
Y'all, but I mean,
is that the lack of social interaction now because everybody's just got their neck down looking at their phones, or what do you think that is?
It's kind of funny that you bring that up because could you imagine the generation before that grew up listening to the radio, you know, and they actually listened to conversations and stories, and they never had the visuals. And now, you know, here comes like the generation after, which would be probably our parents. You know what I mean? They got the TVs, and then we, you know, slowly started getting cartoons, phones. You know, when we were younger, phones would barely started coming out.
Well, I don't remember exactly when reality TV became a thing, but reality TV obviously became a thing at one point in the past. And
reality, I remember
that blew up. You know, I mean, you remember how like, reality TV.
That was probably, but that was like, remember that was like the Road Rules and the Real World and stuff like that. That was like old reality TV where they would just take a bunch of people, real people, and put them in like silly situations and stuff and make sure that they were having a fun time. Like now it's just like they like challenges, you know, like the Road Rules. Did anybody used to watch Road Rules?
I totally watched all that. Yeah.
And they'd be like, all right, we're gonna stick 7 people in a camper and they're gonna drive across the United States together doing ridiculous shit.
Dude, I've never seen that. What is?
You've never seen the Road Rules?
I've never seen that.
Was
that before my time?
It was before its time.
It was before my time.
It's already died, but I think they still have it.
They had the Real World Road Rules Challenge for a while. That was the thing where they combined the two together. But I mean, I haven't seen the road, but they.
Well, I think that what we were talking about is that conversations are once again becoming prominent. I feel like when reality television first got popular, people started to enjoy unscripted content,
something more
people
raw.
That were just having conversations or just experiencing life just like them, because so much of what they had prior to that was so commercialized and and written and scripted and things like that. And I feel like essentially what's happened is that we've kind of come full circle. Now we have an oversaturation of television content over the last like 15 years.
Yeah.
And with the rise of YouTube and things like that, I feel like people are yearning for that realness again. They want the actual real stuff, not this fake reality TV crap like the Kim Kardashian, people.
So that's where, see, me starting this podcast, I was really conflicted because I didn't think I was really going to appreciate just watching people talk to each other when I first started getting into watching podcasts. Yeah. I was just like, how is this any different than watching Fox News or MTV or any of those things where it's just people doing an interview? But I think the idea is that you have a much more accessibility to like-minded people who think the same way that you do. So you can look and find something that you want to watch. It's so much, the accessibility factor is so much higher now.
I completely agree. I feel like there's an element of authenticity that you get from watching things like YouTube, especially things like this. I mean, there's still a lot of commercialized crap on YouTube now too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to completely.
Oh no, absolutely.
All that, yeah. But the more amateur style stuff, like what we're doing now, is really, really cool. And what's on TV is so fake and scripted. There's never an authentic voice that you're really hearing from. There's always some sort of a bias or some sort of an agenda behind what everybody's saying. Every question has been, you know, well thought out, and there's some sort of a direction that they want to take that based on all the, you know, questions and answers. That's not something that you're going to get here. You know, I mean, we haven't really talked much about at all what we're going to talk about right now, and nope. I don't really care what we talk about, but I know that we're going to get into some cool shit. I can just feel it.
And that's the fun part, though, is that, you know, and I think the other problem with TV is that there's you only have an assorted amount of time. You either have 30 minutes or 60 minutes. That's it. Yeah. You have to, I mean, in majority of the time for like your normal programming, you know, your day-to-day programming, you either normally a 30-minute or a 60-minute block, because there's shows that are coming on before, shows that are coming on after. So they have to take as much information or as much of whatever they want to do and cram it in there. I think with the ability to podcast, you can keep it so much more open-ended. You know, you could finish an episode or finish and be like, okay, well, we'll pick this up tomorrow. And then everybody who's watching can tune right back in tomorrow, and you pick up exactly where you were before. Yeah. Like, and it could have been, you could do it for 3 hours though. That's the thing. You could be talking about it for 3 hours long and it doesn't matter, as opposed to being, you know, we took a 3-hour interview and cut it up into 30 minutes and just gave you that.
Yeah. And that's not authentic to me. You know, you can take that into any direction you want to go with it. You can literally take a 3-hour span of conversation, cut it up, and really tell any story you want with that, you know. But when you get the whole raw thing, you know, you don't have that ability. And I find that that's really what we should have, is organic conversations that other people can connect with. You know, a lot of conversations I feel like you can't even have in public spaces anymore. I can't even go online and talk about certain subjects on, you know, YouTube comments or, you know, or anywhere in social media without, you know, a whole bunch of people really getting extremely sensitive over it.
Yeah.
And that's not cool, you know?
I think the internet has a lot to do with this, because the internet kind of built like an insecurity in people. Like they like a lot of the people that I know, or you know, maybe you guys even know, have a hard time communicating with people. And that's because like before, people were kind of forced to kind of like talk to people face to face to get to know each other. Now you can, you know, hit somebody up on Facebook, you know, hit them up in their DMs and, you know, start talking about whatever. And that's how a lot of people are starting their friendships nowadays.
I noticed that a lot though. That what you're talking about, it's the whole, also, you see a lot of, it's the whole idea of like cyberbullying and stuff like that. The idea that you are behind a screen gives you this almost like a force field to the other person. You can say whatever you want to them, however you want, because they can't physically do anything in that moment to you.
I'm personally pretty scared for a future, because I mean, there's people getting catfished out there right now, and
that's what that turns into, though.
Yeah,
is people have the ability to do whatever they want, and it's fucking terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It's also bad because, you know,
you don't know what kind of people are out there.
Well, what happens, and this is just my own personal opinion, but
of course,
you know, from a psychological point of view, if every single time that you interact with another person, it's online, and you can instantly just walk away. You can ghost, or you can just stop talking, or you can just stop replying, or you can say things maybe that you wouldn't say to someone face to face. And because you have that ability to be so anonymous, when you are faced with a face-to-face conversation or some sort of real personal interaction, suddenly you're not equipped the way you would have normally been equipped.
Your body all your interactions differently.
Exactly.
You're like nervous.
So what I see is that a lot of people
aren't used to it.
When I bring up certain subjects, it's hilarious. From my opinion, I mean, it's so normal to me to have certain thoughts and have certain.
Well, let me ask you what
the regular
what for example.
Ask him.
Well, go ahead. Give us an example.
I mean, you know,
let the world know what is it that, like, because I completely agree with you. There are certain things where you bring it up and you can just see people's shoulders tense up, or like they're just like, and it's like, why are you so stressed out over like
Here's
nothing?
A great example. I just recently decided to purchase the book 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
That's a semi-controversial book at the moment.
Which it shouldn't be.
It just shouldn't be, and I'll go into that in a minute. But what you see online, and there are just so many videos right now criticizing things that this man says in a way that they associate him with the alt-right and like Nazis. And,
now for the people who don't know who are listening, give them a quick little rundown on who Jordan Peterson is.
Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist and professor from the University of Toronto. He's also worked for Harvard. He's just an incredible man with a very established career. He's written, I think, just one book prior to the book that I'm now reading called Maps of the Mind or something like that, or Mapping the Mind. But he's really deep into like philosophy and applying philosophy, psychology into the greater picture of things when it comes to humanity and how we're all interacting with each other.
And Jordan Peterson, for a lot of people who don't know who he is a huge believer that there are only two genders.
Definitely,
and that's what a lot of people are harping on. A lot of other things too, as well. I believe he's not a creationist, right? No, he's
certainly someone that looks at religion a little bit less harshly than say people like Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris or some of the other like real atheist type guys.
Sam Harris that's talk about the other end of the spectrum there. I mean, he's like, this is how science works, everybody, and this is like, please work with me here.
The podcast that they had two podcasts that they've attempted to have two separate podcasts with Sam on Sam's podcast.
Really?
And it just doesn't ever go well. They're completely unable to agree on fundamental.
Well, we were talking earlier about like certain podcasts that we like to watch, and I forgot to bring one up. Has you ever watched the Rubin Report with Dave Rubin?
I've seen a few of his episodes. Yeah. Gay, conservative, like well-dressed, stand-up comedian, like the complete opposite of what Milo is, but still on the right, you know?
Yeah.
And this guy is, you want to talk about the most level-headed person I've ever heard talk, and people are like, this guy is a fucking Nazi. He's a white supremacist. And I was like, dude, this guy's gay.
Yeah.
He has a husband. They're married and they're happily married. It's like, you guys need it. And that's the problem. That's where, let's go into that, is the people. And I don't want to say the left or the right or anything like that, but the people who are doing the criticizing of these people don't ever do their fucking homework. It's just, and that's the whole idea of being able to get on a keyboard. You can just start typing whatever you want and be like, oh, this guy's a racist. Yeah. I'm going to type, he's a racist. Even though, like,
start spamming.
Or like, for example, Milo Yiannopoulos. People call him what is it? They call him a racist, homophobic Nazi. And he's literally said, like, I prefer people on the planet Earth to have sex with.
Regardless of what Milo says, I think that he is part of an internet culture that is hugely counter to the political correct style of thinking that we've been sort of saturated with our entire lives.
That's the other side of YouTube, though. That's what
I think a lot of people don't get, is because Milo is the type of guy that's so provocative in a very, very, very intense sort of way, and people don't understand what that actually means. They take everything that he says seriously, even though he is so satirical that it's you realize you can't take everything he's saying seriously, but people do, and I feel like that's the problem that we have with a lot of people today, is that they're not doing their research. They're not actually attempting to understand what people say or what their intentions are. If they say something provocative or intense or really, really effed up, then instantly they react instead of thinking, why did he do what he just did? And was there some sort of a reason? And am I reacting in a way that is calculated on his end? Did he want me to react the way that I'm reacting? And am I now reacting that way? And is that playing into his narrative? People don't ever have that conversation with themselves. They instantly react to what he said that they don't like. And that's the problem.
It's that shoot first, ask questions later mentality.
Absolutely.
And that's all it is. It's the keyboard warrior. That's all it is.
Keyboard warrior.
Everybody starts getting on the defensive and just...
Truth and consensus is my biggest thing. The thing that I find to be the most powerfully destructive force today in the internet.
I don't know if you guys see this.
Are you falling into the couch?
I don't know if the couch is
you've gotten a bit shorter there, have you?
It's one of those couches where you just sit into and you
Hello, everybody. I'm over here now. Don't worry. I'm okay.
He fell in. But yeah, I don't understand why so many people can't think for themselves. And they think that they think for themselves, but they don't really know what that actually means anymore. I don't think that they even know what think for themselves even means anymore. And I don't say that to be rude to people or to try and talk down or be condescending.
Well, yeah.
No,
it's hard because I just want to have a conversation.
It's not PC to have an opinion anymore.
Exactly.
That's the problem. If you have an opinion that's against the other person's opinion, people can just pull out the, oh, well, you don't get it. Like,
you're some form of
like if I say like, or if I say if Josue and I are having a conversation about the blight of like the Mexican person in San Diego, and I say something along the lines like, well, like I don't really think it's that way because a lot of them are working. It's like, oh, you're not Mexican, you don't know, and then that shuts down the entire conversation. Yeah. We're done. We don't have to go that way anymore, and he automatically is declared a winner because I'm not that person, so I don't get to have an opinion about that.
Somehow that would like it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's why you can't comment anymore because you don't understand the common struggle that would be to be me, you know,
right?
Or you know anybody that would.
And I think that's dumb. I'm allowed to have an opinion about anything the fuck I want.
Absolutely.
And if that makes you upset, then fucking leave.
I don't see why people should get upset about having your own opinion. It's like something very important that it helps, you know, like everybody as a whole advance, you know, because everybody's just following each other. Then, you know, what if you're following the wrong person?
Exactly. Then you're stuck in a different situation. Now you're shit. What the fuck? Now I'm screwed.
If you're the type of person that's gone throughout life and you haven't changed your mind about something really truly serious, something that you legitimately believed to be true for many years and then realized later that you were wrong, and to be able to overcome that type of a situation in a positive way where you grow from it, people I don't think are having that process anymore.
I feel like I've had that in my life a few times. One big one was I actually started to become I leaned left for a very long time when I was younger. I was a big proponent that 9/11 was an inside job, which I still am today, and that the Republicans were all about big business and they didn't want to do anything for the people. And so then I kind of changed a little bit as I got a little older. I started becoming more of a fence sitter. And then like up into these years, and I didn't know what a libertarian was at the time. I had no idea, know the term. I had no idea. Yeah. And then maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, somebody had told me, like I'd seen the term. Actually, it was on the show Parks and Rec, believe it or not. And I was like,
Parks and Rec.
And I was like, this guy's literally talking about everything that I feel. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? He's like, oh, he's like libertarianism. And I was like, holy shit. So I figured that out. And then after Donald Trump got elected president, how just despicable and vile and ugly the left, like they showed their true colors kind of thing. And I was like, well, I'm going to start to transition back to the right. So I've literally gone right to left, back to right, which is, it's a goddamn roller coaster. I can tell you that right now.
One thing that I feel Absolutely. Like right and left, I think the definitions of those things change quite a bit all the time.
All the time.
You know, what they really mean, you know, no one really can agree on. But I feel like what's really been something I've noticed and observed a lot since I've been a kid is that, you know, people on the left tend to really criticize certain things, just like the people on the right tend to criticize certain things.
Absolutely, everybody wants a critic.
But the weird thing that I find is that conservatives sort of tend to have always been like, hey, I like things staying the way that they are. You guys want them to change, and I just want things to stay. And I feel like obviously racism and sexism and, you know, civil rights and things like that. I'm almost there, but I'll need one soon.
You let me know.
Oh, I will. And I think those are obviously very important things that we've been able to overcome as a country. But overall, the things that I feel like I would like to keep the same, that I feel like are changing and have changed significantly in my lifetime, are things like single motherhood, are things like, you know, the amount of, you know, young kids that are getting shot in the streets or in some sort of a violent crime, the amount of kids that aren't graduating from high school, or the amount of kids that once they do make it to college really don't even care about the subjects that they're actually getting a degree in. And most of them don't even use
lesbian dance theory.
Yeah, and most of them don't even use that degree in whatever profession that they end up in anyway. And so it all just seems like some giant waste of time. And really, I don't know about you, but I took a few college courses at Palomar College, down the street a few semesters ago.
How was that experience?
I mean, I hadn't been to school in like 10 years at least, so I knew I was going to be a little rusty going back.
Did you feel a little bit more mature going back in? Like
I mean,
if you think about the high school mentality, kind of immature.
If anything, I felt awkward because I was like, well, now I'm going to be the old guy, hanging out with all these like young kids and stuff.
Was there any culture shock?
Well,
was it different? Had you gone to college before?
Oh yeah, no. And
did you get kind of like creeped out with everybody just saying lit all the time?
The terminology.
Bet, fam.
Yeah, fam.
But I've been able to get used to that. But the thing that blew me away the most was that, despite me being away from school for so long, and hey, maybe I'm just a really smart guy, but really what I noticed was that I didn't really seem to be trying that hard. I was just kind of trying to get back into the groove and trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
But it was how can I say this? It was way too easy for me. And nearly everyone that I was interacting with in almost all of my classes, especially the sciences, just didn't give a shit about what was going on.
What do you mean?
Inside of the class?
When you say they don't give a shit, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let me tell you about what I mean. I was taking a chemistry class, and I quickly noticed that the teacher, who also clearly didn't give a shit,
what a way to learn,
was writing. She had, talk about technology. We're in this big sort of large, amphitheater style room, whatever your classic large college room.
Yeah.
And she's got about 6 whiteboards to draw on, to write on. And they move up and down, so that we can see them from further back. And she's got all this space to write on and whatnot. And she's filling these whiteboards with information, all of which nearly verbatim is sitting right in front of me in the book that I purchased for like $180 million or something like that, right? So I'm sitting there with my extremely expensive book, and I'm reading it, and I'm going, okay, she's writing down this part. Okay, here I'm going to read that. Okay. Here I am, super far ahead now, and I'm like, oh wow, she's still writing down this part from way back here, and so now I'm reading the chapter, and there we go. Meanwhile, everyone else in the fucking room, literally everyone else in the fucking room, has their head buried in their notebook. And they're just sitting there writing down everything that she's writing down.
Monkey see,
fucking monkey do. They're not even questioning what it is that she's saying. They're not learning in any way, shape, or form. Meanwhile,
everybody's just remembering. Everybody's remembering. It's a memory game.
Yeah, it's a memory game. It's a match and see, whatever. And so I'm sitting there writing down what I think is relevant. I'm doing questions that are in the backs of each of these chapters. Hey, practice questions and things like that. I'm getting the right answers because I can check what the answers are in the back. I don't even need the fucking teacher. I'm sitting there in this classroom, and I essentially taught myself chemistry for the first semester, and I didn't need my teacher. And I got an A in the class.
Well, what's that? There's a joke on the internet. The guy goes, I think the smartest way to become successful in business is to immediately go $125,000 into debt.
Yeah. No, that
seems like the way to do it right now nowadays.
I feel like it's a huge racket. I mean, all
you need to have some play money to be able to make more money, get your money to play.
These kids aren't even going to be able to touch fucking play money because of the fact that they're all indebted into the student loans that they've been, suckered into for these stupid college classes that they clearly don't care about. Neither do the teachers. They're always going through the fucking motions.
Yeah.
No one's learning anything anymore.
I've learned more on YouTube.
Ain't that the truth?
I swear to God, I'm basically a certified Prius mechanic now because of YouTube. Someone's like, oh, my computer's on. Oh, I can help you there. And if I couldn't, I was like, I feel like anybody can do anything now. It's just the matter of, because there's just so many accesses to so many different things now to give you these, I don't understand how college is still in business.
I don't either. Just the idea that MIT has most all of their lectures on YouTube now for free. You can just go watch them.
BYU has their own TV channel that you can watch.
Yeah, you can watch most of these classes sometimes live on YouTube, just like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get a piece of paper at the end of the semester that says,
which is usually why you go to college, right? To get the little validation on a little piece of paper.
To be honest with you, that shit's bull. That's bull. I mean, if I was a business owner and someone walked in and had all the skills and knowledge necessary to be a person, to do the job at my company, I would hire them right on the spot. It wouldn't be a matter of what school they fucking went to.
That's the thing, though. How do you know without some sort of certification or validation from somebody or some place that says, "Hey, this
They
person
should
knows how
test
to do
you.
this."
I
Sure.
think they
The
should
company
test
should
you on the
test you.
spot
Yeah,
and
think
be
the
like,
company
okay, if you
should.
know what you're doing, then do this,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
put you in a.
You would
in a-
also have to consider the increase of like money that they would have to spend to like make sure that every person that they hire would be validated to do the job. You know, I mean, that's you gotta think about.
Hey, turnover rates at a lot of companies are like way higher than they should be.
Well, what is it? The average millennial work 9 jobs in their life,
or more. Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not. It's no
Compared to
longer.
what was it before? What was it before?
so-
I'm not familiar with that.
So here's the thing, though. What? So does
only
that?
a few.
Is that
Really?
9 jobs?
So you only work.
Is that
couple-
9 jobs in the same industry? Is that 9 jobs in, is that all marketing, or did you work in a restaurant?
I would
for a
like
little
to
bit?
see the numbers of people, like see if like how many people are actually venturing out to actually try new things rather than like kind of just staying in like their like area of knowledge and then kind of just following the what you would call maybe corporate ladder.
Well, that's the thing, is that I think that a lot of people are choosing to bounce around from job to job to job. And though that may seem and feel like a great freedom, like, oh, I'm just going to do this now. Oh, now I'm going to just go do this now. Now I'm just going to go do this now. Well, think about that from an employer's perspective.
That's
If you're an employer and every single person that wants to come work for you only wants to work for you for 6 to 8 months and then go jet set off to some new job somewhere else, that's going to be hard for you to get real professional experts into the positions that are going to be doing well for you.
or as the guy who's doing the hiring, who wants to hire somebody who bounces around, who's not going to stay loyal to their job? They're the first thing they're going to do is, looks like you worked at a lot of places. Why? Did you get fired? Did you? And your answer is no. I just felt like leaving.
Well,
like,
I think.
Are you going to leave 8 months from now?
Yeah, we need you. What if we need you longer than 8 months?
Yeah, sometimes it takes a lot of money to train somebody too. Yeah,
it does. But I think that ultimately you want someone to be absolutely qualified in the position, and that at least in theory that will cost you less in the end if they're staying in the position for many years. And I feel like people that are, if you want to even think about something like a pension, which by the way don't exist anymore. I mean, that used to be a thing.
A pension
used to be a thing. You used to be able to work for the same company for 30 years or more, and afterwards they would reward you with a retirement package that essentially paid you some close number to your old salary for the rest of your fucking life, or at least for 20 years.
Wow. No, but Sway brings up a good point that makes me think about it. Like, he says it costs a lot of money to train somebody. It does. You have to take other people's time out of their workday to train somebody, and so it's like an investment. So you're expecting a return on your investment. Absolutely. So there's an idea that it's that you're putting in the other people's, you're wasting money from other people, taking away from their time to work to make sure that you are able to do the job that you're required to do. And pensions still do exist, though. They do. If you can
in some
30 years and shit like that, that's still it exists.
That was
it exists back, and you can get that, but I mean, there is a sense of return on investment as the idea for training somebody. So you also have the idea, like, if you worked at McDonald's, 7-Eleven, and like Best Buy, I mean, those are probably not a whole lot of return on investments. But if you start working for, and this is, we're saying with the college degree, you work for a marketing firm, you work for a mortgage company.
Well, look, let me add something to this. I think that what we're talking about is obviously all those things. But if you add into the fact that what we're talking about is prior to the way things are now, you would start with one company and work there and work your way up the so-called ladder. Yeah. And that would be your career. You would jump into a career in your 20s and you'd stay until you were in your 50s and 60s. And that's just the way that it was. And I think that when you do stuff like that, a company or an employer is able to kind of watch you grow from some person that really, it doesn't matter. We don't need to train this fucking person. God damn it, wash the damn floors and, make sure the trash.
You still have to train somebody but there's still protocol. You still have to train the person how to wash the floor and how to take the trash out. That's still a thing, though.
Yeah, but I think that costs a lot less than training somebody to make
correct
business decisions that could ultimately lose the company billions
of
dollars.
So let me ask you a question then. So what makes you think that? What changed? Where did we decide that one job for the rest of our lives wasn't enough and we needed to start bouncing around?
Patience. I think that the newer generations of our,
so like smartphones and the on demand aspect,
all that.
Songs are shorter.
They are. Well, in some genres, but
that's don't even get into music about this. That's a completely different thing. That's a completely different thing.
The point is that we're so moving so fast, and we have such a short attention span now that, you know, working really hard and overcoming hardship, you know, that's a lot of the things that, you know, some of these conservative talk show hosts and internet bloggers and podcast hosts and things like that are talking about, is something that we've lost touch with, which is a hard work ethic. You know, a lot of families, a lot of people out there, you know, if something fucked up happens at their job, or, you know, maybe they've got to take on an extra job for a while or whatever in order to get the job done. Yeah. You know, but it used to be that a man or woman, whoever it was providing for the family at that time, you know, had to deal with a bunch of shit, and they had to overcome that shit. They weren't always complaining about that shit. They kept it to themselves. They put their fucking nose to the grindstone. And they got the stuff done, and eventually it paid off. And I know most of the people that I know that have parents who own houses, they own those houses because they fucking worked hard for them. They didn't just get them for free. They weren't just donated to them by their parents. You know, all this privileged bullshit.
I blame participation trophies.
Oh yeah, fuck participation trophies. I got real trophies when I was a kid. Okay.
Yeah. I had to work my ass off to get a trophy.
Goddamn right.
Shit.
And I didn't always get them, but that's what made me work harder to actually fucking.
That's what makes you gives you like that work ethic. You know, you have something to work towards. If you just get an award for half-assing something, then you're gonna be a half-ass player the whole time.
You're like, man, fuck Jimmy. I want that fucking trophy.
Yeah, fuck Jimmy in his 4th place.
Can't wait till I beat Jimmy's ass next year. Jimmy's an asshole. Hopefully nobody is listening to name Jimmy. We love you if you are.
Yeah, sorry, Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, you know, I just think that when you start trying to talk about politics, or not even just politics, I mean, just basic human shit with people, you know, if it goes beyond a certain depth, they start to check out.
Everybody has their barrier, you know, like as soon as you start talking about religion, if you're not the same religion, even if it's the same branch of Christianity, you know, that already creates like an uncomfortable situation in the room, you know, like say, you know, like
how is that? Because I mean, you know, people potentially Latinos are a lot of Catholics, right?
Latinos are Catholic, at least most of them, you know. Catholic and Christian is usually what I see the most.
But you see them butt heads a little bit every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Really quick, just really quick before we go any further, let's break it down. So, Marcus, how old are you?
I'm 35.
You're 35. And how old are you?
I'm 23.
23, and I'm 29.
Cool. We're nice.
We're straight across the spectrum.
Yeah. We're literally 6 ages apart, 6 years apart. From
three different high school generations.
Yeah, we're 3 different high school generations.
So Josue was the High School Musical generation.
I was the High School Musical, yeah. So.
I was the classic rock was getting popular again.
Hey man, you know, we still had like Nirvana and shit like that back in my days, man.
I was listening to the Doors, you know.
Doors.
Like you know, it's funny. The Doors, that was all making a comeback, like my junior year of high school. That was all the cool stuff. You're like, oh, you listen to the Rolling Stones and the Doors. Let's go smoke a joint over in La Jolla and have a good time.
That's funny. That's funny that you guys say that, because like those exact bands that you guys are talking about right now were some of the people that were kind of like it's the music that people were listening to that were kind of in the counterculture in my high school kind of generation.
Well, legends never die, bro. Yeah, let's hear what they say. Legends never die.
Well, absolutely, but it was kind of like you know, maybe they started the trend and like nobody's been able to surpass that. You know what I mean? And they're like,
do you guys feel like when you were in high school there was like a prevailing like political hatred? Like if you were in class, you know, everyone was like, hey, yeah, fuck this political party or fuck that political party. Like,
no,
was it like that when you guys?
It wasn't like that, but you know from the very beginning.
Only the super stoners who be like, man, George Bush like took down the trade centers, man.
Yeah, everybody knew about the conspiracy.
It was an inside job, I think man.
From a very
that was me.
From a very young age, you start understanding groups. You know what I mean? Like you start understanding that you're part of something.
Sways on to something. I think as the generations go by, younger and younger, they're deciding who they want to be at a younger and younger age because they have more accessibility to know who they want to be. That's why girls who look like they're 13 now look like they're 18 when we were kids. Like that's just the fact. It's not. It's because I'm bringing it back to it's the accessibility. They can go on to YouTube and look at all these different makeup, how to look like Kim Kardashian.
Everybody's doing the easy stuff though. Yeah.
How to look like whatever the next big star is, you know, like girls when we were kids, and I don't know if it was for Josue or not, but like it was either what their sister knew, what their friend's sister knew, you know, like they didn't have this plethora, or if they were so lucky to get their hands on a Cosmo. Oh my God!
You guys, let me ask you guys both a question.
Thank you. We got a Cosmo.
Being the oldest guy in the room here, I just had to know. Like,
shoot.
So, do you guys really? Okay, I don't know what age it was, what year it was, or what I don't know if I
might be able to answer this for you.
I don't know if it was an epiphany style moment where I was like, oh, this is the one. This is the moment that I'm having.
Yeah.
No, I don't really give a shit who or what people think I am anymore.
Yeah.
I don't try very hard when I put clothes on in the morning. As long as I'm covered, that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you used to be a different person.
And I'm not trying to be nobody in front of anybody else.
So when was that for you? When did you come to that conclusion?
But do you guys, is it a strange thing to say? I mean, I feel like it probably happened within the last 5 years, like since I turned 30.
For yourself?
Yeah. So that's why I'm curious to know, like,
much longer ago for me. I was probably.
So you were way younger than
19.
Okay. So it took me a long time to like kind of shed myself from this.
I think a
lot
of it has to do with environment. I completely agree with you on that one. I think it also has to do with environment because I was like 19 when I was just like, you know what, man, I don't fucking care what the new fashion is. I don't care how I'm gonna dress the way I want to dress. I want to look the way I want to look, and I don't really. If anybody has a problem with me, I'm just not gonna fucking hang out with them.
I feel like it was just starting for me at 19.
Yeah.
I mean, at 16, 17, I certainly was trying to be.
Then again, I was taking a lot of drugs back then. A lot of drugs.
I think I was.
Like a lot of Molly, a lot of acid.
Southern California, I think, was right.
A lot. I was in Maryland. I was in college doing a lot of acid. I was doing the Molly back here with a lot of acid back then.
Maryland, how was it over there?
Oh my God, dude.
Do you guys have some good weed over there?
No, weed sucked out there. This was back in 2008. So remember, this was 10 years ago. So this was 2008.
Okay.
That was like 5 years before.
So you were like a sophomore in high school when I was.
It was like.
How old are you? 25?
23.
Oh shit! You were like in fucking middle school.
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit!
Probably like in fifth
God
grade.
damn! Make myself feel old, Marcus. What the fuck?
Don't start comparing me to him.
Shit, dude. Oh my God.
Oh, dude.
Man. But
that's life, man. That's
Maryland was cool actually.
really?
I was only there for like a half a semester.
Yeah.
Where did you go? Where were you out there for?
I got recruited to go play lacrosse.
Really?
Yeah. So I played lacrosse since the 6th grade, and I still play to this day. And now I coach over at Westview High School. Shout out to the Wolverines. What's that?
How many years is that of expertise?
Oh my God, 6th grade to now. So the 6th grade.
What are you like, 13 in 6th grade or something?
No, I always do it whatever your age is plus 6. So it's 12.
12. Okay.
So 18. So 17 years. So yeah, no, that was 11 years ago. Fuck, I keep thinking I'm 28. I'm gonna be 30 in October.
Hey, welcome to the club, man.
Damn, man. I'm getting old now. I'm starting to figure out how old I am. Kept thinking I was 28 for this whole time we were just talking. I'm 29.
Yeah.
It's only gonna get worse.
God
bud.
damn it.
Cheers.
That's not good.
Cheers,
But
man. We're only getting older.
No, so I started. So I went to a camp on the West Coast, like a recruiting camp, and this guy found me, and they wanted me to play out there.
Yeah.
Never saw the field once. They brought me out there. I got so culture shocked by the East Coast, and I started.
How do you start playing lacrosse? I mean, they have some lacrosse teams in Southern California. I mean, you say you coach at a high school.
My friends used to play.
I mean, I never saw it. Growing up, not even in Texas, not here.
I lived in North County, so I think what the idea that we think happened was a lot of these East Coast players got like real estate or had like degrees in like real estate or something, like got like real estate companies, and then they all flew out to San Diego because that was the hot spot back.
Yeah, that's a dream. That's
where And so when they realized that they sucked at selling houses, they had to figure out what to do. So they started coaching lacrosse. Where they figured it out, and there was just this huge boom here.
I can't remember if
there was a massive. San Diego, California is one of the hot spots in the United States for lacrosse. We had a team this year, Torrey Pines. They were in the top 20 in the nation.
That's badass.
Yeah. So it's been like this since I was in high school. It's been like this since like the early 2000s. And it's always just been a place. I mean, the number one recruit a couple of years back came from San Diego. Junior Seau's kid, Jake Seau.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. He plays at Duke.
Dude, I mean, maybe I sound like an idiot, but I don't really even know about lacrosse. I mean, I know you hold like a stick with a net on it and you throw a ball around and shit. But
okay, so
tell me about lacrosse, because I mean, is it like hockey rules? But like,
okay, here's what I tell people.
Because I love sports, but I just don't know a whole lot about
lacrosse. Is basically hockey, soccer, and basketball put together. So
basketball in what way? You're throwing the ball around?
I'll tell you. Let me go through the spiel because I've done this. I've done this 1,000. I've done this 1,000 times. So the game is played on it's basically played on a soccer field. It's 120 by 60 yards, 120 by 50 yards, or 60 yards, 120 by 60, and you have to have the endurance of a soccer player because it's nonstop, back and forth, very transitional, like basketball.
Like 20-minute period.
It's 10-minute quarters.
Okay.
But there's a transition game like basketball. There's fast breaks. You can set pick and rolls. You can break people's ankles. Like you can do all of that when you play. But then
break people's ankles how?
Juking around.
You're like doing like a juke, like doing a move to like split dodge somebody, and like if you step right and go left and their ankles click and they fall on the ground, and now you look like a fucking badass. But then there's the hockey aspect because it's full contact. And it's the same. Basically, you wear a helmet, shoulder pads, gloves, elbow pads, and then nothing below. It's just shorts and then cleats. But you're allowed to hit with this. You can hit people with the stick. Anywhere up from the wrist down is considered part of the stick. And as long as you don't go, it's like there's like a 6-inch rule. Like you go 6 inches up, 6 inches down, as hard as you can from 6 inches, and hit them as hard as you want, as many times as you want on the wrist. And then, but you can also lead with the shoulder or with the stick or with the hip. So you can literally, like, if somebody's looking this way to catch a pass, you can just drill them and flat back them. But also, like hockey, you can go behind.
As opposed to football, where if you did that before someone was trying to catch a ball, you'd get.
No, the ball would have to be in their stick. But if you time it right as they're catching it and hit them, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
But also, like hockey, you can go behind the net in lacrosse. You can go behind the cage and be able to like make stuff happen from behind.
Wow.
And you have about 10 yards back and 50 yards wide
behind the net.
And the net itself has a 3-foot circle around it called the crease, which nobody on the offensive side is allowed to go into. And the way you play is it's 10 people on the field. There's 3 midfielders, 3 attack, 3 defensemen, and a goalie. But you're only allowed to have 6 players on one side of the field at a time. 6 players and a goalie. So like you have 3 midfielders and 3 attackmen. But so the midfielders, basically how it works is you have defenders and attackmen on one side. And there's a midline.
Attackers stay on the attack side.
So is there a goalie or is there someone?
There's a goalie.
Is he counted as one of the 6 that's allowed to be on one side of the? Okay.
No, he's
6
7
plus the goalie.
Yeah, 6 plus the goalie. But the goal is 6 feet long and 6 feet high, so it's basically a big square. And the goalie is only allowed a stick about the size of a truck wheel, about like a truck steering wheel.
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
They get scored on a lot.
Bigger than the ones that you guys have that you're.
Yeah, they have a substantially bigger net than we do.
That's what the goalies use, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, I know exactly
it's a really
what
long
lacrosse
stick, right?
looks like,
or
but I've never seen a goalie.
No, that's the defender stick. That's like my stick right there.
Oh shit! Okay.
That's a stick. So defenders use a 6-foot stick, and offensive players use a 3-foot stick.
That's badass, dude.
It's the whole fucking thing, man.
So you guys are just beating the shit out of each other.
Pretty much. I ruptured my spleen playing that sport.
God damn.
Wow.
That was gnarly. The spleen rupture was definitely something.
Beer, bro. Can you grab it?
Boom.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Nick. Thank you, brother.
Got you, brother.
You guys got me.
Hell yeah. As we're taking this quick beer break, I'd like to also I'm actually going to give a quick shout out to this company called Simple Legends. They've it's an online company that you can freestyle. They have a beat that you can record over using any type of microphone you have, even your regular computer microphone. It's a beat. You record over it. You can share it on Facebook or share it anonymously on the fan page. It's pretty cool. I've done it a few times, actually. It's really cool. It's www.simplelegends.com.
Hell yeah.
And a couple of my friends started it. It's really cool.
Hell yeah.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Somebody.
For your freestylers out there, go try it out.
For all you freestylers, simplelegends.com. And that's the cool thing, though, is they have the ability. You can share it anonymously. So
that's pretty cool.
If you didn't if you're just
like it's your vocals,
it's a beat and vocals, and they've set up this website design where I think they're going to get more producers in the future, where the beat, you listen to the beat once or as many times as you want, and then you record your freestyle over it, or if you have something written down or whatever, and then you decide whether you want to share it on your Facebook page or if you want to delete it or if you want to share it anonymously with the fan page.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
That is badass, dude.
Oh, you're going.
Man, your dog wants to go.
See you, buddy. I know. All right. Oh, because I'm in his way. All right, hold on a second. Kind of go.
Got a good dog break. Dog break.
Dog break. Get out of here.
Come on, bud.
Wow.
$100 bucks. $100 he lays down right there.
Oh, he's totally gonna lay down.
Oh, get out of here. Move.
He's like, should I do it?
He was totally thinking about laying
He's
down.
like, what do I do?
He wants to be
What
part
do
of,
I
He
do?
just wants to be part of the group.
Oh, dude, cool. Let him join the
All right.
podcast too, man. There he is.
What's up, Kona? How you doing?
I don't know if everybody can
What's
see
your
him.
dog's name again?
Kona, little Kona.
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 Kona the beer.
Hell yeah.
Steak.
Cool, man. So,
Yeah. So
You know-
where were we?
we were talking about lacrosse.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's like my passion. My end goal is to end up becoming like a college coach. And,
Cool.
but I've gotten pretty far, man. Like I'm part Greek, and I've actually played lacrosse for the Greek national team.
Badass.
Did that for 2 years.
What?
It was really cool.
How did you get into?
Yeah,
how did you get into that?
How do you get into something like that?
Well, I sent him an email, and I was just like, I don't know if because it was their inaugural season, so they were looking for players, and I was like, I don't know if you guys need somebody. So they were like, yeah, come out. I told them, I just gave them my rap sheet of where I played and what I've done, and they're like, yeah, go ahead and come out and try out, or not try, just come play with us. So I flew out to Philadelphia and played with them 2 years ago, and I played pretty well, which was pretty awesome. And so then last year they invited me to come back out again to Rhode Island, and I played with them there. And then this year they've gone full like sanctioned, and I don't have enough Greek descent in me to play, but it was
Wow,
okay
really?
anyway.
Dude, that's badass though. that
But
you
yeah,
can
I
do
have
that, man.
I still have my jersey in my closet and stuff. It's
Dude,
pretty.
that's
It,
cool
it
as
just
fuck.
has grease across it and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that's sick.
I wear it all the time.
What a great
Badass,
experience. What a great experience.
days.
Yeah, the glory days.
Back when I was a real man,
Yeah, whatever that is nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
a cis man.
A cis man. Yeah, I'm proud to be a cis man.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. I fucking put my pants on one leg at a time, just like every other man.
Hey man, I mean, I honestly just I don't understand how people are so obsessed with this.
It's a phase. It's
they
just a
are and
phase, man.
What it is and what it means. Like, I mean, life is so cool and interesting. Like everything
Yeah.
that's happening out there is so much fucking cooler than what you fucking think you are or whatever the hell. I mean, I'm not trying to undermine that because that's obviously something that you need to pay attention to. But
Yeah.
but the fact that people obsess so much over it
Yeah.
instead of looking out at other shit. Dude.
I don't think a lot of people understand like how much bigger the world really is. Like how much like there really is to go
Yeah.
still go discover. You know, like everybody's been around their city. Everybody's been around, you know, like LA over here because we're in San Diego. You know, and you get to visit all these like cool places around here, but like, you know, there's other places like other in the East Coast that a lot of the times, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, I don't have a lot of friends that travel, you know, a couple here, a couple there.
Dude, have you ever been in New
Everybody's
Orleans?
like, you know, kind of like just confound to this small area, and that's like all they know, and that's like all they live.
Have you ever been in New Orleans?
I've never been to New Orleans.
I've never been to New Orleans either.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Texas. I've been close, but I've never.
Oh my
I've
God,
been
dude.
I mean,
It's-
I lived in Oregon. That's I spent a little, some time over
I hear
there.
that's we're in Oregon.
The Dalles. I don't know. Do you remember we were watching the?
Oh yeah, have you
The-
guys seen the Rajneeshi like?
What was the name?
Oh
documentary?
yes. Oh, the Antelope, the city of Antelope.
City of Antelope. Well,
He
the
used to live right near there.
in there's like the town where they had the
What was their
election.
Okay, for
They had, like, some
everybody
election.
listening who doesn't know what we're talking about right now, there's a documentary. I believe it's on Netflix right now.
What's it called? I can't remember what the name of it was.
I think it's called Antelope.
No, it's not called Antelope.
It's not called Antelope.
It's got a much better name than that.
God, we need our young Jamie. We need somebody right now just on their phone.
I know.
We have young Josue. We have not gay Josue. Oh my God, that'd be such a great name. It's so much better than not gay Jared.
Hello.
Not gay Josue.
Okay, dude, I love watching that show. I mean, you know, I don't mean to plug a show, but I mean, you know, that show is like one of the shows that I think that's like kind of helped me to open my mind to a lot of
Which show?
discussion. The Steven Crowder show. You know.
Oh,
I'm talking about Nike and Jared.
louder with Crowder.
Yeah. Louder with Crowder.
Well, have you seen his Change My Minds?
Yeah, I think that. Well, let me ask you a
Well, I
question.
think they're called Real Conversation Change My Mind.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you watch other people's shows that are like that too? And let's let him fucking say what he was gonna say, because honestly, he was just looking something up.
No,
We can get
No,
this
no,
back.
no, 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 no.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Are you
Yeah.
sure?
No, yeah, because my phone's having a little bit bad. So
Okay, not gay Josue.
Let me look it up real
God,
quick.
it just keeps getting better and better every time you say it.
Dude.
But I watch like Ben Shapiro.
Dude, Ben Shapiro, Louder the Crowder. I mean, there's a guy that's called Fleckus Talks on YouTube. He's badass too. I mean, his whole show is basically like the convince me, but he doesn't like say convince me. He just goes out and he'll talk to people. And
He's not the Russian guy, is he?
No, he's a really big, tall guy with a big, giant beard, and he'll go out with like a spoon attached to his microphone, so people just like think he's just kind of weird or whatever, and so he's more approachable. And he'll go up there and he'll start talking to people and asking questions and shit, especially people that are like, oh, it's super anti-Trump and anti, conservatives or whatever, and they just are the most idiot people on planet Earth.
Well, I know we're all
the
beating
most hilarious videos I've ever seen.
We're all beating around the bush right now, but you ever watch Alex Jones?
Oh, I've seen a lot of Alex Jones.
God,
I love Alex Jones.
He's incredible.
I love Alex Jones. We need more people like Alex Jones.
Why do you like Alex Jones? I'm not familiar with who Alex Jones is.
Oh,
you've never heard Alex Jones?
Listen here, brother. We're on the same team. You're gonna find out real quick who he is. No, Alex Jones is. Well, he's like he's been doing podcasting for a very long time too. I mean, he's a libertarian who is a very, very, very big believer in conspiracy theories. Like,
I think he makes a lot of money doing conspiracy theories, whether or not he actually truly believes all that shit.
He makes money off of
correct. I think it's more of an act, because when he goes on, like, when you see him like talking like.
Did you see the Joe Rogan podcast with him and Eddie Diaz?
Oh my God, Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo, not Eddie Diaz.
Eddie Bravo. Oh my God,
that was the most hilarious thing I've seen.
He was so drunk and high.
He was trying to like
wrestle Eddie Bravo.
Punch him in the face and shit. He's like, just punch me in the face. I dare you.
One time.
One time.
You don't understand.
It's not gonna hurt me. I swear.
It's caveman. It's caveman in me.
So this guy, what does he talk about? Conspiracy, like Bush being responsible for 9/11,
yep.
of like conspiracy.
Everything. He did that.
Or is that the main one? Or
he did that for a while. He's a big
reptilians.
He's the
lizard
guy.
people. He thinks he's very anti-Hillary Clinton. He's convinced that Hillary Clinton's killed like 50 people.
Wow.
I think Hillary Clinton's killed a lot more than 50 people.
You really think so?
He thinks some people think Hillary Clinton killed Anthony Bourdain.
Really?
Well, the theory is, and I mean,
I actually have.
I think this is just fun to read because I think conspiracies are awesome.
Very entertaining.
Anthony Bourdain's a tall dude. He's like 6'4", right? And he was in a hotel. Hotels don't have very high ceilings and stuff. How does a 6'4" guy?
I mean, in France,
you can do. I mean, you can do it. There's a way to do it.
There's a way to do it
in a French hotel with some fucking. Crazy
but I'm just saying, like, that's just a funny conspiracy theory. It's like, how does a 6'4" guy?
I want to ask you a question, Nick, because I've seen the podcast years before, and you happen to at the time be talking. Oh yeah, hey, I'm a fan.
Thanks.
And I happen to be a little curious at something you mentioned. Given the outcome of the events that at the time hadn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Wow, what a call. I remember that too. I watched that. And the Washington Capitals. And I wanted to get your take on this because as I'm watching the podcast, knowing that this actually came to be, and you're smiling now, and so I'm thinking that maybe you
I remember now I'm thinking about it, and I remember the podcast.
But you mentioned that there had been potentially, an influx of people buying betting a lot into the Golden Knights potentially winning, in the Stanley Cup, and place a lot of bets, and the over under on those bets were extremely high, and the payout would have been extremely large, something like 10 or 100
the odds at the beginning of the season were 500 to 1.
500 to 1. Okay, 500 to 1. So, do you think that there was potentially some sort of a Las Vegas odds conspiracy here, where the Golden Knights having 3 devastating goals scored in the final period of their match there to end it all? I mean, really kind of just like being potentially a little bit of a conspiracy there. I mean,
no, I think the Caps figured them out.
The Caps figured them out.
I do think that I think basketball is rigged. I'm very convinced that not for certain teams to win, but for the controversy, for the ratings to go up, in a way,
you say
where
it's not a coincidence?
bad ref calls, for example, where I don't know if Adam Silver is going to these people and going, "Hey, go ahead and just call everything you see tonight. We're gonna get the ratings up."
I don't watch enough basketball to know how many.
It's just because if you watch enough of it, if you just follow it, and it's just like
I watched the season.
It goes all the way back to back when the Kings and Lakers were huge rivals with each other, and the stat in that game was
Sacramento Kings. Who played for them? Was Sacramento Kings?
That Kings had Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, Doug Christie.
What era of basketball?
Early 2000s, 03.
Okay.
But they were huge rivals with the Lakers. They would see the I think they saw the Lakers 3 or 4 times in the Western Conference Finals. But there was one game. It was a game 6 where the amount of calls, the amount of fouls called in one quarter was more than than every game played before that. In one quarter, wow. They called 27. They called 37 fouls in a quarter.
Now were all these calls that they made, were they all bullshit or what?
It was just I think the whole idea, the conspiracy theory behind it is that having a Sacramento Philadelphia, final was not going to be good for the NBA. They needed the Lakers to go there for the three-peat.
As a corporate move.
And so they were going to do and that game was in Sacramento. This is back when it was 3-2-1-1-1, where you did three games at home, and then it took 2 at one place, and then it was one game at one. It was 3 games, and then 2 games, and then 1 game, 1 game, 1 game. And so it was
in a final,
in a series.
In a series, okay.
And so it was the top seed would have 3 games at home. Then it was 2 games to the next team, and then they went back to the other place, back to the home place, and then the final 4, and then the final game would be played at the other place. 3, 2, 1, 1.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, I would hope that things like that don't actually go on.
So to answer your question though, I don't think so. I think because hockey, it's too hard for something like that to happen. Hockey,
you think hockey is a rough sport. You can't fake those punches.
No, you can't. It's just you're on ice. It's hard to rig that kind of shit. Well, I think it's incredible what the Knights did. But I mean, they also had a 2-time. Do you realize that Marc-Andre Fleury won the Stanley Cup last? This is his 3rd Stanley Cup in a row. He 3-peated. Yeah. Nobody else did. Marc-Andre Fleury had a 3-peat.
I'm trying to think how many times that's actually happened in other sports too. If somebody else has been able to do that,
I think it has happened a couple times. I looked it up, and I think it's in baseball. It's happened a few times,
consecutive.
Yeah.
Where they've gotten traded to a championship team. And you're oh hell, I'm sure it's happened in football.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm sure it's happened in football.
A bunch. Yeah.
Where you just go you play for the Cardinals one season, or you play for the Steelers one season, all of a sudden you go to the Patriots the next season.
Wasn't it wasn't there a running back that went to the Eagles or something like that mid-season last year or something like that, and then he ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Oh,
wasn't it Jay Ajayi or something like that went there?
No, it was
who was it?
Wasn't it Blunt?
Was it Blunt?
LeGarrette Blunt?
Was it LeGarrette Blunt?
Didn't LeGarrette Blunt win? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was LeGarrette Blunt.
Because he and the Patriots won the year before that too, so maybe he had 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah, he had a game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
In this one, in the Eagles.
No, I think
I'm a Cowboys fan, so I really
he really boycotted that one. Yeah,
I avoided that game.
Well, I'm a Raiders fan, so it's been rough. I'm really excited to go to Vegas though and go to the Super Bowl. It's gonna be great.
How do you feel about that? Because I mean, that's another one of those move things. I know a lot of Chargers fans over the years that
were upset over the LA move.
Yeah.
Well,
how do you feel about the move from Oakland to Las Vegas? I mean, it's closer to you now.
Exactly. It's 4 hours closer to me. What am I going to complain? So you're going to tell me that I'm
much better stadium.
Oh darn! I don't have to go to Oakland. I don't have to go to fucking Oakland anymore. That's pretty fucking nice.
Wait, and one of the
don't get me wrong. Oakland is
worst stadiums in the fucking NFL.
It was shit.
Is it really?
I've been there.
Absolutely.
It's a shit stadium. The Oracle fucking all the stadiums in Oakland are goddamn bullshit. That's the problem. But no, I'm excited. Brand new stadium. I get to go to Vegas to watch my team play. You know what I'm worried about though is I'm
this season, but next season, right?
2022, I believe.
Wow, we have to wait a long time.
It It was supposed to be, or I think it's 2021. It was supposed to be 2020, but they're having some problems with the stadium, so I think they pushed it to 2021.
Have they already broken ground on the location and shit like that?
I believe so.
It's on the strip, right? It's like just north of the fucking.
I'm not 100% sure where it is. I haven't really looked into it that much, just because there's not really anything to look at. Foundation. I'd rather wait till they start building it. I don't really give a shit. Like I'm gonna love them. I'm gonna love them while they're still in Oakland because
the stadium they're gonna build up in LA for the Rams looks pretty fucking badass. Too.
And by no way was I dissing Oakland either. There, I just let everybody out there know I fucking love Oakland.
How do you feel about Gruden being back?
We'll see.
Are you excited about that? Is that something that you're?
No, I really liked Jack Del Rio, so I thought that. I was a big Jack.
Despite last season.
Last season was just a hiccup. I think it was a hiccup, and I think we were going to get everything together and figure it out. I don't think Derek Carr having another coach with a brand new, and his shit is going to be confusing with John Gruden. I can't make a decision until I see what happens during the season.
How do you feel about, Jordy Nelson, in place of Michael Crabtree and shit like that?
Same. I honestly thought Michael Crabtree was a better wide receiver than Jordy Nelson.
Probably costs less money too than Jordy Nelson too. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand.
But at the same time,
salaries
I trust Reggie McKenzie, our GM, a lot. Since he's come in, he's completely changed that program to the point that we're one of the least fined teams in the NFL now. Unlike the San Francisco 49ers. Fuck the Niners. Like I was saying, no, like I trust him. So, I mean, but I'm excited for Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Because it's gonna be Amari Cooper.
As long as he's not getting,
smoking weed,
getting stoned by all the
in Oaksterdam, in fucking Oaksterdam. The NFL just needs to legalize weed, and then Oakland would be
what the hell?
If weed was legal in California in the NFL, Oakland would always have an NFL team. That's a guarantee. I guarantee it. They would never have gone to Vegas.
Yeah,
everybody would just be getting ripped.
I mean, I hear there's a lot of good studies about pot. Like concussions and shit like that too.
It helps.
Like it almost seems like why wouldn't they? But
yeah,
it's another one of those stupid things that the United States just can't figure the fuck out.
So I actually I got the name for the documentary. It's called Wild Wild Country.
Wild Country.
Okay, so moving back to that. So that was a good segue right there. I like that. Talking about Wild Country. So
you're looking elsewhere.
It was the Rajiv religion.
Rajneeshpuram. Or no, Rajneesh, and the community that they lived in was the Rajneeshpuram, right?
Puram, yeah, you're right.
Puram.
Puram means something.
So anyway, to give people a little bit of insight, what we were talking about earlier, these religion from the Middle East moved to Oregon and took over an entire town. Basically, pushed out all the residents of or tried to push out
the town of Antelope,
Antelope, Oregon.
Antelope, Oregon.
A town of 30 or 40 people or some shit.
And those were some fucking stubborn fucking people.
Okay.
Wow, talk about people that just really fought for the community.
Badass stubborn people.
It was I don't know, the people that are still alive to remember all that. It's like something that you don't even realize that happened in your own country. And it's like something that's very, very real. That is, what is a cult? Different kinds of cults that form. I mean, I personally never heard of the Rajneesh.
I had never heard of the Rajneesh previously before either.
Yeah, previously to seeing that documentary, I was like, wow.
Well, shit, bro, we got one of the biggest fucking cults of all time right down the street from us.
Dude, I lived
Heaven's Gate.
Well, look, when I first moved, so
that's up the street.
I used to live in Rancho Santa Fe.
Well, check it out. So did I.
I used to live 10 seconds away from that fucking place.
When I first moved to California, I lived in Rancho Santa Fe. And, yeah, well, whatever.
And so it's like, ooh, fucking fancy pants here. Pinkies out, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. Cheers out. Pinkies out. There it is. Yeah.
Stay fancy.
Dilly.
But I mean, I grew up in Texas, okay? So I mean, I grew up in Dallas, Cowboy Nation. And God damn it. I remember
lose viewers because of that.
Yeah, I know it's all right, but they'll get over it. No, but I remember going to visit San Antonio on vacation, and while we were on vacation in San Antonio, the Waco debacle happened, and this is probably way too old for you to. This happened in like 1993 or something like that. So this
way
is
before.
Do you know what Waco is?
I don't actually.
Okay.
David Koresh and what were they called? Did they have a name or something like that?
Yes, they did.
I can't even fucking remember, and I'm from there. You know, I mean, I watched.
Annie just did an awesome documentary about it. It's called The Women of Waco.
The Women of Waco, dude. This is some serious shit, Sway. You got to hear this story, man.
All right.
Well, let me tell you.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So, I mean, you know, you want to talk about wacky religious people. Well, you know, Christianity's ripe with lots of wacky religious people, and one of those guys was a guy named David Koresh, who started a sect of Christianity that, you know, was more like a cult. And I don't really know a lot of the details as far as like.
So it was like a branch.
His actual teachings.
It was like a branch of Christianity.
Branch Davidian. That's Branch Davidian.
That's exactly.
Branch Davidian. You just say branch, and that's like Branch Davidian was the name of the cult that they were part of.
Wow. Okay.
Or the quote unquote religion.
This is in a tiny little town called Waco, Texas. This is in central Texas, right in the middle of fucking Texas, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, essentially what had gone on is that some crazy ass shit with. I mean, I don't even really remember what it was that the ATF was going in there for. I was so young, you know. I still haven't seen a good enough documentary, at least like the Wild Country.
You got to check out the A&E documentary.
Well, I'm gonna check this out now because this seems fucking rad. But you know, this guy basically, David Koresh, led a bunch of people into a compound in Waco that ended in this like intense, gnarly shootout between ATF and them for like a whole day or more or something like that, over a day or some shit like that. But I mean, the building basically caught on fire towards the end and like completely burnt to the ground. And a bunch of people fucking died. And I happened to be driving back from San Antonio to Dallas when all this was going on. So there was an enormous amount of traffic going on I-35 North at that time. And we couldn't figure out, you know, what the fuck it was. And eventually on the radio, you know, you hear that the shit's going down or whatever.
There's like a big shootout.
And it was a whole Waco crap going on or whatever. So I literally fucking drove.
It was like days. It went on for days.
I drove right past it while it happened, bro.
They ended up like taking giant speakers and playing music at like extremely loud. Like
people wouldn't leave this building basically for like a really long time.
Really?
Yeah, man.
How wild shit.
How big was their group? Like,
I think it was in the hundreds.
I feel like it was in the hundreds. Yeah, I mean,
they had numbers.
It wasn't just a building. It was like a full-on compound.
It was a huge fucking compound, man.
Wow.
A giant facility.
I still think the Heaven's Gate is way fucking crazy.
Well, think about this. So I moved away from this culty shit literally right after that.
Oh shit, here we go.
And I get right to California, and then bam, these motherfuckers in Heaven's Gate are like killing themselves over some stupid comic guy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what was that? They were trying to like get on Halley's Comet, right?
Hale-Bopp Comet.
Yeah, the Hale-Bopp Comet. They thought that the Hale-Bopp Comet was an alien spaceship that was flying over Earth, and that they were all going to get transported to a new Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever seen the videos?
The videos are on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They are a trip.
I can't remember that guy's name for the life.
I don't want to remember his name just because.
He is one creepy motherfucker.
But the fact that he got all those people to kill themselves. I mean, it was like 40 people.
The Jonestown massacre obviously was a lot bigger than that.
That was religious. This was batshit crazy in the middle of Rancho Santa Fe.
I know, that's some crazy ass shit.
I remember recently when the cop walked in, he thought it was a practical joke at first. Yeah. And then he just took off one of those purple things off their face, and he was like, "Holy shit!" They're all in matching jumpsuits and Adidas or whatever they were wearing.
Because they were in purple. They were in purple fucking jumpsuits.
Purple jumpsuits and black Nikes. I think.
So everybody in this wild country shit was wearing purple, right?
Red.
It's like a maroon color or something.
It's like a maroon red, like hues of red.
It's just fucking crazy.
Hues of red.
I just think that, you know, that just plays back into what we were talking about earlier, and about people who are so obsessed with the experience that they have and what that experience.
Dude, I want them to be expressed. I want them to be like that. I want to fucking watch the documentary after. They gotta be fucking.
I know, but
they gotta be like that, man.
Saying, you know,
we're gonna be like Equilibrium. We're gonna be like Christian Bale walking around. Everybody just has no emotion and shit. You need the crazy to balance out the normal, man, or we're all gonna be fucked.
Yeah, but don't you think that there's like more of that shit now? Like back in the day, it was so wild that now and it shocked so many people that we make documentaries about it.
It only shocks us now because we can see it more readily.
It's so ubiquitous that like we don't even know what's happening. You know, people are literally being brainwashed left and right into their own little cultural cult bubbles, and they don't even fucking know that they're into them. You know what I'm saying? And this shit is so fucking ripe in our society now that it's like, you know, we used to think that this was just some crazy shit that happened. Oh, this is cult, it's a comet, and oh, this is crazy people. And now it's fucking everyone, you know. And I feel like that's the kind of shit that's happening to our society now, where we're getting to a point where everybody is fucking delirious in some way, shape, or form, man.
I agree and I disagree because, and I'll bring up an example. You hear a lot of people talking about how we're in the mass shooting generation.
Yeah.
Have you heard that term now?
School shootings and shit. I mean,
Did you know that statistically we are the safest in the past 50 years? We are the safest from mass shootings that we've ever been. In the 90s, on average, there were, and I believe they said the statistic was I think it was in 1 year, it was 1996 or something. I could be completely wrong about the years and stuff, but it was like there was like the average for it was like 4 a year, and a mass shooting counted as 6 or more people getting killed, and like now it's like down to like I think it's like. I forget. It's weird. I forget. It was an NPR article. It was a really good NPR article that just said we are statistically.
I think it was
way more safe. And they went 7.
Maybe 4 per month or some shit like that.
But there may have been like I forget the data on it. Man, I wish I remembered it. But we've been drinking all day. You know, we've been drinking since you guys got here, so that doesn't really help.
Hey, whatever, man.
But there was an NPR article on it, and I'll pull it up for you after this when we're done. So I'll show it to you. But yeah, it was like we're statistically living in the safest time of mass like shootings, like in the United States, not in the world, but
regardless of all the mass shootings that have been happening right now.
It's not even. It's just they're just reported more. It's just it's just constant coverage. You know, everywhere with the Snapchat videos where you're basically there. It's just it's so much more in depth than it was like when Columbine happened, for example.
Yeah.
And like
where kids didn't have phones back then.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't have the predisposition to pull out their phone and start recording it. Even if they did, you know, that wasn't the idea because there wasn't a platform for them to, maybe like to have the outlet to show all those different people.
Yeah. And now, like videos.
It's just
viral.
like you said, it's all perception. Like people perceive that we're in this time where like you think it's like the cult aspect, like you say, these mini cults that you said. And I think you're right and you're wrong in the way that I don't think anybody's going to do anything extremely irrational, like a cult would, for example.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is that cult mentality where one person says something and everybody believes it. I do see that.
Well, I think that when you start to fully and solely rely on other sources of news or information gathering, whatever it is that you're trying to study, when you're relying on a single source, that's never going to be a good thing, and relying on a single source, I feel like, is what a lot of people are tending to do a lot more often now. And a lot of times that single source is like their friends or what they see on YouTube or whatever, which is what they're always looking at. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's bad, but it's positively reinforcing bad behavior. And that's just it. To me, that's the reason why I see so many people that can't have deeper conversations than certain levels, because they don't know how to think for themselves. They only know how to regurgitate a bunch of bullshit that they've seen online or have heard from their parents or whatever the fuck else. And that's just so negative, because thinking for yourself is the most liberating and free thing that you can do as a human. And we're like being taught not to do that anymore. And I don't know why people think that this is a good thing. I mean, there's so many people out there that will hear what I'm saying and think that I'm some sort of fucking psychopath for saying it.
You're a bigot.
Yeah, I'm a bigot. but that's just the most ridiculous thing.
How dare you go against what CNN says? What's wrong with you? They've been the most worldwide leader of news forever.
You saw the Starbucks bullshit that happened, right? The Starbucks and the two dudes that wanted to like use the bathroom or something. They wouldn't let them because they weren't buying nothing, and all the crap that happened because of that Starbucks shut down their stores for a whole Tuesday and to do.
It's like
unconscious bias.
Get the fuck out.
This whole unconscious bias thing, you know. I mean, I get it. Like, I get that. Like, you feel a certain way and whatever. But like, okay, if you've ever had, I'm trying to think of a better example than like a gun, but you know, if somebody has a gun and they're just pointing it around, or even like a Nerf gun, you know what I'm saying, and someone's pointing it in your direction, you know what I'm saying, and you feel like don't. You know, even if you know, I know they're not going to, this is my dad, you know what I mean? He's not going to shoot me with this Nerf gun, you know what I mean? Or whatever. But you just sort of get nervous, you know what I'm saying? When someone's pointing at your face, you know, the fact that you're getting nervous is a biological response. It's an observed response. It's saying, hey, I've seen other people get hit in the face with things before, and I don't want to get hit in the face. Or if a ball's coming at your face, playing baseball or getting a football thrown at you for the first time. And you know that natural reaction that you have to be kind of scared of it.
I get it. It's almost like when you have any siblings?
I do have a younger brother. Yeah.
When they say "ow" before you hit them.
Yeah. You know, like they're anticipating.
It's the predisposition that they know they're going to get hit, so they just start saying "ow" before it even happens.
Exactly. So it's just like, you know, that's exactly what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like a lot of people out there don't know how to think for themselves.
Well, they were trained not to. That's the problem.
Well, that's the thing, is that, like, you know, being trained not to think for yourself and then championing that way of thinking is just it's the most ridiculous thing.
It was like I said before, it was like having an opinion now is not politically correct. Now it's like, if you have an opinion on something, it's not okay.
Yeah, and I don't understand why opinions are so bad, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hey, Sway, how you feeling, bud? Good. Yeah, there you go. Right on.
Stretching before I sit back down.
Yeah, exactly.
Bathroom break there, bud.
It's the glory of having the garage door open.
Oh, yeah.
You have to climb over the couch.
Hey, man, that's what man caves are for.
That's what man caves are for, man. I love this fucking place. This is my dojo. This is where you
have. Yeah, this is dope. I like it.
Oh, I love
it's
how
very
you have
comfortable.
A good sized TV here.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can't.
I think that's about the standard size these days, right? I mean, shit.
55.
Smaller than that, and I'd start questioning.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, like, you okay? Financially?
Why don't you have your gaming system out here?
I did. That's actually a funny story. So my parents just moved back to San Diego from Central California.
All right.
And this was the night of Game 4 of the Stanley Cup. They didn't have any internet or anything set up in their house.
How dare them.
They just moved back, so like the internet people hadn't showed up by the time.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they bought
that shit set up before.
They had bought a smart TV, a Samsung, and I was like, oh perfect, you guys should have NBC Sports Network on it, so you should just be able to, you know, download the app, turn your phone into a hotspot, and use your hotspot on your phone. It'd be fine.
Right.
They didn't have NBC Sports on the. It was a brand new one. And once again, so I was like, all right, I got you guys. I'm on my way. Unplugged my Xbox. I have 2 Xboxes. Unplugged my Xbox from in the man cave, threw it in a bag, and drove it down to my parents' place. And I was like, bam! Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Yeah.
So you were able to play NBC through your Xbox, is what you're trying to say.
Off of their cell phone Wi-Fi.
That's hilarious.
Wow, dude. Just to show how far technology has gone now.
Boom.
You can turn your phone into pretty much a router, and
it's called a hotspot.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I have one on my phone.
I think everybody's now. At this point, I think everybody's phone can be a hotspot.
Well, you can get a la carte TV now, which is I'm hearing on your computer, which I thought is
you can get
cool.
what?
You can get like a la carte television on your computer now from like
Sling TV or Direct TV now, and then like Sling TV I think was like the original one that really started doing that a la carte thing. But I mean, YouTube has a cable provider now. There's YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Where you can watch like ABC and NBC on YouTube. They like made a deal now.
I mean, I think that was inevitable. I think that just knowing that, you know, I feel like television more or less is dead. I mean, I know that AT&T and Time Warner.
Sports is the only thing keeping TV alive. Sports
now.
is the only thing keeping television alive.
Well, you heard that AT&T and Time Warner are merging, right?
AT&T and Time Warner, even though AT&T owns DirecTV?
They may have to sell DirecTV now as part of their purchase of Time Warner because of some sort of antitrust law or something.
I'd rather have DirecTV than Time Warner.
Well, DirecTV will probably still be around. I mean, even though they've been bought by AT&T, they're still their own.
My Sunday Ticket.
Oh, Sunday Ticket! I don't think it's going anywhere. And if it was, they'd probably leave DirecTV and go somewhere else. But potentially to Time Warner and AT&T. I don't know how that contract.
Isn't Sunday Ticket owned by? Didn't DirecTV develop Sunday Ticket?
I really don't know.
Yeah, I think they own it. I used to sell door-to-door AT&T, and I think people used to say that one of the biggest things.
AT&T or DirecTV?
I used to go door-to-door. I used to be like on the marketing, like door-to-door sales team. You know what I mean?
AT&T or
AT&T.
AT&T.
And a lot of people gave me the rebuttal because I was doing Uverse. It was kind of like a home phone and internet service, and basically the rebuttal was always, do you guys have the Sunday Ticket?
I mean, so the DirecTV wasn't a part of AT&T then, because I think that since then, DirecTV was purchased by AT&T, and so now they can offer that. It was like a couple years. That was a pushback for me too, man. I worked for AT&T a while too as a guy in the store, so I didn't go door to door or nothing trying to sell Uverse. But that was one of the harder things out because people kind of knew, man. They kind of knew that it was like shittier internet, shittier TV, wasn't that good. The channels changed fast and shit, but they weren't like. It was pretty cool because it was, I don't know, you didn't have to connect to the little thing, the cable. Yeah, connection? You didn't have to get a cable. It was all like kind of like, it was like TV was broadcasted through like Wi-Fi, right? Like the Wi-Fi, and it was like connected to this little box, and then that would feed your TV. God, I keep yawning, man. It's fucked up. I'm not even tired. I guess I am. I don't know. Fucking yawns, man. When they start hitting you, they hit you.
It's the AC. Feels so good.
I know the AC. Maybe you need to turn that shit off, man. It might be a little too cold in here. It's getting a little chilly. We'll have to see what Nick thinks when we get back. Nick's using the bathroom right now. Unfortunately, I don't know how to turn the AC on myself. So
we're gonna take a little smoke break.
I gotta take a little smoke break.
Yeah.
What are you smoking on over there, man?
Little papaya.
Little papaya.
Papaya.
Little papaya goodness.
Holy papaya,
Batman. Holy papaya. How you turn these ACs off, man? It's getting a little cool right over in my little corner of the world here. Yeah, I'm a little chilly. Hell yeah.
Things do their job. What do you don't? Hold on.
So
you don't realize how hot it gets in here.
I'm sure it gets hot, but I mean, right now, man, it's feeling great.
Before you guys got here, it was 92 degrees in here.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
92.
Well, it felt like 92,
but right now it's about 68 degrees now, man. It's feeling great. It's
beautiful.
We got the good vibes. Everything's gonna sound better now because there's not a massive air conditioner going on in the background. Also,
significantly change the entire podcast.
We're gonna have to change the levels.
Still watching here.
Yeah, everyone's like, that weird sound is gone. Hold on a second, because a friend just tuned in. I don't know if they're still watching. Hello, Sunita. And once again, a shout out to SimpleLegends.com. www.simplelegends.com.
Simple Legends, baby. Let's go freestyle.
Get your freestyle on. It's worth it.
Freestyle on.
I've got one on there.
Dude, anonymously or
can we look you up?
Yeah, can we all look you up and find that?
Dude,
I think I shared it anonymously, the first one, because
semi-anonymously now.
Yeah, right. You've been now just try to figure out. I did it on this microphone, so you'll probably be able to figure out exactly where it is. I'll show it to you guys after we're done here. Do you guys do you guys freestyle at all?
I don't freestyle, but I produce music.
You do?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Shout out to Simple Legends again. They got another person who can produce music for you. Boom. Let's get that deal going. What else was I just about to say? What about you, Sway? Do you?
No, I don't do anything.
I'll still show it to you guys after. It's a cool little.
Sway's heard some of my beats.
Yeah, I've heard his beats.
Nice.
I have some stuff on YouTube.
You do?
I have a few things, yeah.
Oh shit! Right after I show you the website, you have to show me your shit.
I'll show you some shit, bro.
Oh yeah. What's your name on YouTube?
I'm not on YouTube, but on SoundCloud, I'm Technoir24. TECHNOIR Technoir.
Technoir24.
Yes, Tech Noir 24.
Like
Unfortunately,
film.
with everything on the internet, you got to usually choose a fucking number to go after your shit because you want the first one.
Yeah, well,
You know?
guess what? You're just not original enough.
I know I'm not original enough
to put the
well,
number
Tech
one.
Noir. You know, I'm a big movie buff. I love movies. You know, Terminator, the original Terminator, is one of my favorite science fiction
I
films.
need your clothes,
and
your boots, and your motorcycle.
And he can do a pretty good Arnold
motorcycle.
Schwarzenegger
Get to the
impersonation.
chopper.
I remember when we were working at Buffalo Wild.
These owls, please occasion. I can't get to the phone right now because I'm too busy killing pepperoni.
Killing pepperoni.
But if you leave your name
and your number,
your serial number, whether you're susceptible to any diseases, or maybe I'll come and give you a pepperoni pizza, or maybe I'll staple it to your chest.
I'll be back.
Hasta la vista, baby.
But anyway, in Terminator 1, you know, the nightclub that Terminator, that Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Tech Noir.
Well, obviously, somebody else who's a music fan and a Terminator fan got to that before you.
Fuck them.
That son of a bitch.
Fuck them.
Yeah, motherfucker.
But you can check me out on SoundCloud. You can buy my songs on Bandcamp if you feel like giving me money.
What the fuck is Bandcamp?
Donate some money.
Bandcamp's great, man.
What is it? Is it like Patreon or something?
It's kind of like Patreon for music people, yeah. You can
Can I
upload
be
your
on
shit if you
Bandcamp?
put it. Yeah, if you want, if you have songs, if you got content that you like.
Well, this isn't a song, but if I go la 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 la, no, now it's a song. Now we're good. Now I can post it.
You can.
Boom.
And people can buy it.
And people can buy it.
And people can buy it.
People-
Bandcamp takes
What
like,
is it's like 50 cents?
they take like 10%. So whatever you decide to charge for your songs, you can charge whatever you want. You
I
can
would
make it
charge
free if you want,
$1
you know, but you
million.
can make it $1 million. $1 million.
Because somebody in like Saudi Arabia is gonna be like, "What's this $1 million song?"
You could do it.
And they'd be like, "We're gonna buy it."
We're gonna buy it. We're gonna buy it. Give him a little taste.
It's just gonna be like Pootie Tang. There's gonna be no noise. It's gonna be going.
Yeah. The whole time.
Spirit fingers.
Well,
Well,
they're gonna be like, "Son of a bitch, we just
if
spent
you
$1 million
do
for that."
happen to do that, you know, maybe I'll take a shot. But
So, you know what? That's just something that could happen. Right? You just
One day you're selling $1 million
just
beat.
be like, "This is the $10,000 beat," and people, somebody drunk one night on Bandcamp is gonna be like, "You know what? I want to know what." The
I'm surprised more
$10,000
people
beat
don't make
sounds like.
music. I mean, making music nowadays is so much more accessible than it used to be.
I made music in the early 2010. I made a little bit of music back then, but
Cool.
I've been freestyling since I was like in 6th grade.
Fuck yeah.
What kind of music would you make?
I did a lot of electronic and a little bit of hip hop. It was just I was living in Santa Cruz at the time, and a lot of my friends were electronic DJs. Dubstep was really popular at the time as
You
well.
were raving for a while?
Oh, dude, I was crazy. I was in the rave scene like a fucking animal for a while.
Really? How was the rave scene when you were out there?
What?
Yeah, tell me about that, man.
I mean, if
Oh my god.
I'm not personally me. I'm not.
I was a big raver too, but that was
I'm not a
probably
raver.
prior to.
I'm not a
the
raver,
time
but
that
you
you're
know,
in,
I
because
have
dubstep
my-
was not a thing for me when I was in the rave scene.
I see Instagram and I see just like it's
So-
just a culture of
so
like,
living-
Fuck the rave
costumes.
scene now. If you
It's
rave,
like costumes.
fuck
naked
you.
I can't- I
chicks,
fuck you. If you go to rave,
Let me
fuck
put
you.
it this way.
good-looking
I just
women.
Fuck you.
let me put it this way. I just can't do it anymore. Like my
You know
body
what?
can't take it.
Can't do
Because
that.
I used to
Can't
take
do
like E
that.
and stuff like a lot.
You know
Like,
what? Fuck the
Yeah.
I
drugs.
took 7 pills in one night once.
Look, fuck the
One
drugs.
night.
Fuck all that
one
shit.
night.
Oh my god.
And that was the same rave. This was in San Bernardino. So this wasn't even Santa Cruz. But check this out. This in one rave, it was Armin van Buuren, Benny Benassi, and Tiesto all at the same spot.
Wow. So this
Those are
place-
3 huge like.
No, I
trance
know
slash
I
techno
know those
DJs.
guys. You know, like that's
Yeah.
that's
Those
how
are like godfathers
Armin
right
van
there.
Buuren's like a house DJ. DJ Tiesto's like trance, and
And Benny
Benny
Benassi's like
Benassi's like
electronic.
kind of like trance.
Like traditional.
he's that hard
electronic.
house, like like that.
Well,
like,
Satisfaction was such a good vibe song.
Satisfaction.
Push me and then just touch me,
Yeah, that's a
so
good
I
song.
can get my satisfaction.
It's a great video too, by the way.
Oh my god, it's one of the great.
Shout out to beautiful women.
Have you seen
everywhere.
the music video before, Sway? It's
have
just
not.
it's just women in bikinis operating heavy power tools.
It's great. And they're jiggling around, you know,
Like I'm talking
they're-
like
they're jiggling and-
street pavers and like
it's really awesome.
the one girl
I
like in the
will go
beginning
home.
is using a hammer. She's just like hammering wood. There's not even a nail. I don't even think there's a nail in the wood. She's just
Just
hammering
hitting wood.
She's just beating wood.
Yeah.
Wait,
Wow.
oh, wait a minute.
When we're done
Wait a
here, I'm
second.
gonna have to
Wait
check
a
out that video.
Pun
second.
intended.
Wait a second. That makes so much more sense now. Oh, okay.
Hitting
All
that
right,
wood.
now we're getting somewhere. Okay. See, You learn something.
You live and you learn.
How long are we? No, only 90 minutes in.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Feeling good here.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Really? I feel like
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you're having rum too.
Hey man, look, the rave scene for me when I was young.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Well, the rave scene for me when I was young was a completely different world than what you guys call the rave scene now. I mean, I know I sound like some old piece of shit, and even when I was a rave kid, the people that were really in the rave scene when it was even more underground than that would probably have the same words from me.
Well, explain. What do you mean? Like well, let me tell you my experience first, and then you can go from there.
Go right ahead. I'd love to hear it.
In Santa Cruz, it was very it was a very popular scene, but they would it was very
give me a time frame too. Like what
this was probably between 2010 and 2014.
Okay.
2013.
So you had a good 3 or 4 years.
And actually, no, it's if I add it all together, it was like 2009 to 2014.
So a good 4 or 5 year period of your life.
Yeah,
you were doing the rave.
I was doing the rave scene. Had a name, had a rave name, everything.
Wow. You don't care to tell anybody?
Oh no, I'll tell you what it was.
Okay,
it was X Factor.
Oh, X Factor. Well, that's a cool name. X Factor's fun.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. I accept it. It wasn't like Lollipop Forest.
Did you name yourself or did
somebody else gave it to me?
Oh, that's totally authentic. That works.
Yeah, no, I didn't give myself. Yeah, I didn't. You never give yourself a rave name.
You can't name yourself, man.
What was your rave name?
I was never given one.
Flounder.
No, I was never given. It was.
Come on.
I was never given.
What did you give yourself?
I was never given a rave name.
But you gave yourself one.
You don't understand.
His rave name was Marcus.
You see, you
Shuffle King.
You said 2009, 2014. I started raving in 1999.
Oh, Jesus.
And I ended in about 2003, 2004. So I was about the same period of time, about 4 or 5 year period of my life. I was also very much in the rave scene. But
wait, what year were you born?
83.
Okay.
83.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was very young, if you think about it.
I'm doing the fucking math right now.
Math.
That's like that meme was like, I was like people in their 30s doing shit that I was doing when I was 17.
So in 99, so in 99 I was 16, okay, and I went to my very first rave. It was called Narnia, right?
Narnia. Nocturnal Wonderland.
Yeah. Well, that's a funny story because I actually went to I would promote, for other parties and stuff like that. I'm about right for one myself.
Gotcha.
I would promote for parties with Pasquale Rotella, who's the owner of Insomniac, who does.
I was like, I know that name.
Yeah, Pasquale Rotella. He married Holly Madison or something like that. The ex.
Pasquale.
Yeah, Pasquale. It's a cool name.
Yeah, cool parents. Probably.
They have a kid named Rainbow now. That's cool.
Of course they do.
Of course, a rave baby would be named Rainbow. But
we named him.
That's sort of what. Okay, that's sort of what was happening back in 99, 2000, 2001. So essentially, there was the old rave crew. The old, not crew, but the old rave style of crews, which were
super baggy pants.
People that were more or less counterculture, right? So think about like punk kids that listened to electronic music. Yeah. So like punk-minded kids, wild, crazy, fucking just chaos type kids.
Well, trance was really big back then, right?
It was big, but there was
house still
breakbeat, breakbeat and house and things like that were a lot bigger even before techno as a genre, as its own genre, was also really pretty big. Yeah, it's just a little bit more minimal. I mean, you can call it trance, but just
don't get me wrong, I was a huge Venga Boys fan. Let's get one thing straight here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Boom, boom. In my room.
But okay, so that kind of shit really started to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Aqua and all that bullshit.
God.
Those types of things.
What do you mean bullshit?
Okay, look, those types of things started to hit the mainstream right around that time, 99, 2000, 2001. Okay, and when those things started to hit the mainstream, the rest of the world started paying attention to raves. Prior to that, they really weren't paying much attention. Okay, and this was a completely underground type of a
raves came from
world.
Came from Europe, didn't it?
I think they started in places like the UK and Germany and things like that. But
that's where their music.
But I wouldn't necessarily say they originated there because
I think like underground New York house parties is where they began.
There was a DJ there named Frank Bones, who was probably one of the more prolific guys that came out of New York at that time.
Around what years?
But Frank, this is like probably the early to mid 90s.
Okay.
Like 92, 93.
Around
94.
when you were
way
raving.
Before I was even part of the scene.
Oh,
yeah.
So
I didn't even know what the raves.
He was like kind of like founding this. this.
Oh yeah, so like guys like Frankie had already been around.
This platform that later would become
they were huge. You know, when I got into it, it had already been well established and was on its way to becoming mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, but I was fortunate enough. I say that you know,
yeah.
You know, but I was fortunate enough to sort of still be a part of the original scene that hadn't quite been tainted with, you know, the commercialism that it is with today.
You could tell when it was going to go mainstream.
Yeah, so like I'll tell you about my first EDC. So EDC is the big, you know, rave nowadays. EDC is not just in the United States. It's not just in Vegas. Hey, it's not just in Vegas. They do one in New York. They do one in like Puerto Rico. They do one in like Europe and shit like that. There's like a bunch of EDCs, right? They do it all over the world. And I happened to go to one in 2000. I think it was 2000. And it was in a place called Tulare, California. Tulare. Is it Tulare? Yeah. Tulare, California. You know the place, right? It's a tiny little podunk town in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's right off the 99. But from San Diego, it's quite a drive. So, you know, that was a big trek.
Basically Oregon.
It's right in the middle of California, right? It's like Central California. It's basically an agricultural town. You know, there's a lot of farms and shit like that out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And this is just kind of a central hub out in the middle of nowhere. And it happened to be in a bunch of warehouse facilities that were adjacent to some agricultural plant or something like that, and it was fucking phenomenal. I mean, the talent at these parties back then was insane. Half of the talent was
you were getting let's just put it like you were getting like the top 10 artists in all the world time, all playing at the same
Carl
place.
Cox, you know, Paul Oakenfold, people like that, DJ Tiesto, things like that were happening very, very often. You know, BT,
they would travel together.
BT,
that's why they would all travel together, because like it wasn't big enough where they could all go solo yet. They had to travel as a group in a rave like atmosphere.
And they would come to these parties, and you know, the parties back then I think were maybe like $50 at the most. You know, if you bought your ticket to the door, raves? You bought your ticket to the door, they'd be like $50.
Yeah, maybe 50
30 like they'd start off at like $20 pre-sales like 2 months before the event.
It was like nothing,
you know, and it was cool too.
They were because those people were just trying to make their money back for the venue. They didn't even care. The artists the production company wanted to make a little money so they could survive. They wanted to make they were maybe one sponsor would be at these events. It'd be like a speaker company or something.
There'd be a few. I think eventually there started to be massive parties that started to shift from what we see today, or towards what we see today rather, where they started getting, you know, investors and things like that. But prior to that, most of the parties were all underground and
taking part in like what, people's basements or
the basement of like a bar.
No, dude. Okay, so there was a group called Family as an acronym. It stood for something, FAMILY, and you had to be part of an email list just to even go to some of their parties. And when you would go to their parties, they would send out an email to the email list, and it would just say, "Hey, we have an event on April 24th at location C."
In Santa Cruz, we had a very same thing. It was called the Renegade.
C. So the location C, A, B, or C would either be 1, 2, or 3 places across LA as a map point location. So when you went to the map point location, which was not the actual rave, then you would go and you would get somebody there. You'd say, "Hey, I want to go to the party," or whatever. And they would give you some sort of directions to go somewhere else. And in some cases, you would even get directions where you had to go somewhere to somewhere else, and then a van would pick you up there, or you would go to some other location that was completely unbeknownst to you. So you never even really knew where the location of the party was. And you had to be transported back and forth to it and stuff like that.
Santa Cruz was a little bit different.
Like that was going on back then.
What we did in Santa Cruz, they were called Renegades, and there'd be a phone number. The night of the party, it was the same. You called this phone number. It was like a hotline. And the
hotline wouldn't work until the night of the party.
Yeah. And it would say like, okay, the party's on Ice Cream Grade. All the parties that these Renegade people would have were up literally in the middle of the mountains, where like one of these places I went to, the entire concept of the place was it was built on school buses. The whole place was built by school buses. So it's like people would take 2 school buses and stack them up to each other, and like they'd have like a stripper pole going down the middle of it, and like there'd be seats everywhere. They took a bunch of school buses and turned it into a stage that people would perform on everywhere. And like you would drive, let's see, from downtown Santa Cruz up into the hills, you drive a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour. And then you would turn off the main road and you'd go on to like the road one of the roads was called Ice Cream Grade. I don't know why it was called that, but they picked that road, which is awesome. But like you turn off on Ice Cream Grade, and they'd be like, okay, then you drive. It's like on your Dartmouth Drive, 5.6 miles, and then turn left onto the dirt road.
Because there's no street signs and stuff like that.
And then they'll tell you like drive 1.9 miles down the dirt road. Do not drive any further than 2.6 miles and find parking. And then walk the rest of the way up. And you hear by the time you closed your door and you got out, you could like hear all the music playing. You just hear in the background. So you just start walking to that.
That's more of like what I would call like a rural rave.
They were called the Renegades.
Rural rave, right? So
yeah,
this was more like what I was experiencing in my childhood or in my time was more like urban raves. You know, all of them were like in the deep part of the city and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were never really trying like to be outside. They would either be.
There probably just wasn't enough. There was not enough land that wasn't a park. Probably
there's a lot of abandoned warehouses and stuff like that.
Which makes perfect places.
I went to a party underneath a freeway bridge. Like there was a giant warehouse and storage facility that someone in the city of LA or wherever was able to rent out for a drum and bass party.
Wow.
So you literally like parked on the side of the fucking freeway, bro. And then you literally like, you know how you can see like construction and shit like that sometimes will be like on the other side of a K-rail. There was like somebody was able to open up part of the K-rail and then everyone was able to park kind of like just inside the freeway or whatever.
Nuts.
And then the party itself was actually inside of like an overpass where you have like one freeway converging with another freeway. There's just some big concrete
easy way to not worry about sound if you're under a freeway.
Fuck. Yeah. I mean, we were going to parties on like in like tents in the side. There was a party that we went to called Wake and Bake that was legitimately like right off the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles. The 110 kind of goes right up through the middle, and it was in a tent, a circus tent, on like where they would normally be throwing like a swap meet type of a thing over the
like
weekend.
A big parking lot.
Yeah, like a big ass giant parking lot. But it was a parking lot, I guess, that had been set aside mostly for like swap.
I've been to one of those
like
up in Santa Cruz,
but it was in circus tents, like in fucking in whatever.
Have you ever been to the Hudson
like
in San Bernardino?
The Hudson?
Yeah, it's a big ass venue in San Bernardino.
Never been to the Hudson, but
it looks like
San Bernardino was like it was a Masterdome back in my day, man. You ever heard of the Masterdome?
No, it just looked like an abandoned Costco that they turned into basically
cool.
a giant they just built like walls out of it, so like they'd have like one room was playing house, one room was playing trance, one was just playing techno.
That sounds big.
It was massive. It was like the size of a Costco. I'm not making it up. Like the size. It was a fucking massive building.
See, I got on the scene in 2003, 2004. So anything that happened after that,
they may have just rebuilt it or remodeled it or something.
It didn't exist back when I was going. I mean, we were going. There was a rave that was being thrown into a place called the Cadillac Club, which was basically a bowling alley. And I think it was somewhere in like it was somewhere south of fucking.
These are the good old days, bro.
This sounds really cool.
These were the good old days, man. Yeah,
dude. There was that. The Masterdome was basically
there was a hotel. There was an abandoned hotel in the middle of the mountains in Santa Cruz called the Mountaineer that these people used to go, and they bought the land and kept the hotel on it and turned it into a rave destination where people would like come from like other, like they remade I think they put like $500,000 into it. And they remade all the hotel rooms. They remade the ballroom was massive. The ballroom, I guess, could seat like, it was like 5,000 people, could seat 5,000 people. Like it was a massive, like Nordic, like massive ballroom. And like they redid everything in this place. Like every like 2 months has like a massive rave up there that you can go and like get a hotel room and sleep at the rave. And it's like a 3-day rave, and it's 24 hours, 24/7.
It still goes on now.
I think they're still doing it. I don't know if they're still. I think because of the idea that people were sleeping so close to the rave, there was a bunch of like legal issues with that, or like the land got bought,
controversial,
or the land got like bought back by the city, or the deal was. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I remember going up there once, and I was like, "This is fucking insane!" Like literally, like my room was like maybe less than 100 steps from where I was raving, where everybody was in there just partying. And then like
that's kind of crazy. I don't even know if I'd like that.
Well, they soundproofed all the rooms.
Oh wow.
So you close the door and it's nothing.
Oh wow.
Wow.
It was almost creepy.
Oh, that's fucking
because then if you just open the door to like go smoke a cigarette, all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 boom.
And then
it's like boom, boom. And all of a sudden you close it like boom, 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 boom.
And it's gone. Wow. Dude.
Now you can feel like the vibrations a little bit because you still get that little like that. You'd feel like in bed, you could get that, you could like feel it, but you couldn't hear it, which is crazy.
Shit, man. It's some crazy shit.
sound waves.
You packing another bowl over there, brother?
Look at this man. He's an animal. You can't
Hey,
even see.
man.
Are your eyes even open?
No, I
Hey,
don't think
you should see us at work, man. We don't stop. We work all day long, and we're smoking weed.
I
the whole
Let's
I've
time.
go
been
into that.
smoking-
Yeah. So here's the deal. Like we haven't even jumped into that.
I've been
So
smoking
for the
since-
people at home, because I have a terrible fucking camera, both guys are wearing T-shirts and hats that say Habit on them. And for the viewers at home who don't know what Habit is, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Habit is?
Oh, go ahead, by all means, my friend. Let me take a hit off this pipe.
There you go. So Habit is we're basically an edible company. We make sodas, different. I think it's like at this point it's like 8 different kinds of flavors. We also have a couple flavors in CBD, CBD soda, CBD waters, tinctures, lotions. We have cartridges. We have oil that you can dab. Coming out with new products very soon for Chalice. So basically, we work in the weed industry. You know, yeah,
Getting people high, baby.
getting people high. Not only that, but you know,
Long live California law, baby.
being
So, do you sell to the public, or do you sell medicinally only, or
basically
We're a wholesaler, yeah.
medicinally only.
Medicinal wholesaler?
Wholesale, yeah. We're basically part of the manufacture. We're manufacturing it. You know, we're a manufacturing company. We have a distributor, and a distributor sells to dispensaries, and dispensaries are the ones that sell to the public.
now do you sell? I probably shouldn't ask that question. The next question I was about to.
Well,
ask
the
them.
laws are all very specific. So I mean, as far as like what,
No, like so. Can you sell to a dispensary that sells to the public that's 21 and over?
not right now, no. When we will, I mean, there are certain places that will, once they have their licensing and things like that, and we have all the proper licensing and things like that, we will be able to do stuff like that.
Mhm.
But right now, the California equation in the whole national sort of pot debate hasn't necessarily been fully ironed out yet. So I mean, despite what everyone may or may not think, I mean,
Yeah,
states like Colorado and Washington may or may not have been able to roll it out maybe a little bit quicker, but they're also
they're
much smaller. And so, you know, California is having a much
We're the
slower
fifth.
time.
We're the
at
fifth
it.
biggest economy in the world.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily being rolled out like with perfect efficiency. Right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question then. So why can some other companies, when I go into my dispensary that's 21 and over and you don't need a rec, why can some companies have their drinks and edibles and stuff in there and not you guys?
some companies I think at the moment are kind of just waiting for somebody to. Just
Is that illegal? What they're doing?
Potentially it is.
Potentially,
You know, we don't want to.
It's kind of what. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you where I go. So
Yeah, we don't want to
fuck you,
sour anybody.
government.
But yeah, it maybe.
Yeah.
Silence me, YouTube. I dare you. All 7 people watching will be so upset.
So like I'm pretty sure the way it's going down is everybody's kind of waiting for it to be licensed, you know, to get their you know, kind of.
So do some people in California, can some companies sell?
Yeah, there's like people that are certified already.
There
Like,
are-
for example, like the company Cushy Punch. I know that they can sell to people, can't they?
I'm not really necessarily familiar.
Oh, it's
with
an
the
edible company. I
Cushy
see it
Punch
everywhere I
myself.
go.
What-
They've been
what-
around forever.
What do you mean that they can sell?
Like I see them in almost every dispensary I go to.
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, if we're in dispensaries, you can find us at.
but
a-
like
a
in
lot
like
of
in like the rec
dispensaries.
stores. Let me rephrase that. Like
Yeah.
a rec store. Like I go to a store that you have to
Well,
be.
there are no legal rec stores in San Diego County, period, as of right now, that I'm aware of. I think there's one in like El Cajon, and then there's one in like San Diego proper. One.
What do you
And
mean
that's,
by
like,
not?
legal ones? So
What's the difference between legal and not legal?
Like, with
licensed or
license,
non-licensed?
Yeah.
Well, this one has a licensing number and everything.
Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Oh,
But if they do or if they don't, isn't necessarily going to prevent other companies from selling. stuff
okay, I
there.
understand that. I'm just asking, what's the is there a legal way that any company right now could be, even is for in the El Cajon dispensary? Could a company? Is there any company in California that makes edibles and things like that legally? Can they be selling to them?
As long as they have their licensing
Mm-hmm.
already in place and all that licensing is in place, yes.
Okay, cool.
But
And-
there will be a track and trace program in the state of California that once that goes into place, every sale within the recreational industry has to go through that first. And I don't think that that's been fully rolled out yet. To the best of my knowledge.
My dispensary does that, where they ask me my name every single time
They may be asking your name, but we're talking about track and trace of the actual product.
After I buy the product, after I leave, they ask me what my name is, and it seems like it's a track and trace kind of thing.
Of the product that you purchased?
Correct. After I've purchased my product, so they've typed it in the product in the computer, and they go, "What is your name?" And I tell them my name, and then they go, "Okay, thank you. Have a good day."
Okay. Well, that may be part of it. I don't really know. I mean,
it just
asking us is probably the worst people to ask because we're not at all experts.
Okay.
We literally just.
So let me transition then. So, what are your guys' roles in the company?
So basically, I'm kind of like what would it be?
Production manager for sure.
Production manager for Habit. You know, kind of just I lead the team, making most of the edibles, kind of making the mixes.
So like you oversee?
Oversee basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Marcus, what about you?
I mean, I basically work for Sway, and I work for the company in that regard.
So technically, Sway is your boss.
And that, if you want to look at it that way, absolutely.
Or the person that you report to.
More or less. I mean, we report to some higher ups as well, but I mean, Sway is more or less the guy who's delineating and tells us what to do and
where we're going, the direction that we need to be taking, all based on orders that have that people are gonna come and pick up, basically. So
yeah, I mean, our job is crazy, dude. We're so fucking busy all the goddamn time. It's insane.
Yeah,
the industry's growing.
That industry is the Wild West right now. It's absolute insanity. The fact that it's growing over the past, I would say, just in the United States in general, over the past 4 years, it's been
exponentially. Just in the past like 3 or 4 months,
the legalization of weed is like something.
It's unbelievable.
Now
it's going to increase the market by.
Let me ask you just a question that's a little bit of a side note. Are you surprised that the federal government legalized gambling before marijuana, or does that not surprise you?
Tell me a little bit more about that, because I've actually been talking to someone who recently told me about like certain states legalizing.
So the federal government has now decriminalized sports gambling. And now
100%,
fully 100%. So
not
now
just in like New Jersey.
It is now at the state's discretion whether or not they want to allow gambling in their state.
When did this happen? Was
this happened over the last less than 3 months ago, less than maybe 2 months ago.
So it's a Trump thing.
It's a Trump thing, correct?
Wow.
Yes, and
not bad. I mean, what do you think? I mean.
Do you guys like sports betting? I mean, I haven't done a huge amount of it, but when I have,
I'm not a big bettor.
Do you like parlays and shit like that?
I like long-term betting, like for example, fantasy football. I don't like having to put all my money. Like I hate FanDuel. I hate DraftKings. I think those things are dumb.
Why do you think they're dumb? Because a lot of people would actually argue that they're even harder than regular fantasy football in order to play well. And the people that do well in them are not lucky.
I'm very aware of who they are. They are computer scientists from MIT who have designed extremely complex algorithms and have put that guy in a full 16-game season, and let me see how good he does. He probably gets fucking ass beat.
Well, you know what? You may or may not be right.
Because you can make a program that tells you who's going to win due to the variables in the weather and the player and who they're playing.
I've never done well in
rankings. I've never done well either, because those people have complex algorithm software that does all the work for them.
Every time I play, and I think I've picked a good team, like the players that are the teams that are scoring a lot of points, I'm just like they're scoring so many.
You look at one of the players, like, who?
How do they have that team? Like what? Like this is insane.
So yeah, but I think on the whole that I think the sports gambling's a good thing. I think it's cool. It takes away all the. I mean, it's only good. It's only better to regulate something. I mean,
we shifted really quick over into like the debating of gambling from like what we were talking about.
Well, he asked me what my position was on gambling.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Well, I mean, gambling as a whole, because like gambling is gambling. Like gambling can just be like us playing poker one night. Like
we can do that now. Now we can do that. We can all gamble.
So you're telling me that part of what was just
poker is a sport.
Interesting.
Poker is a sport.
Interesting.
So we can have poker night now, and the cops can show up and be like, "Yeah, we're gambling."
What's up?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that. Was
granted, California says okay, but I think with the amount of casinos everywhere that already have been like grandfathered in and stuff, I think they're gonna be like, hell yeah.
California always needs more money.
Yeah, we do. Jerry Brown's a dickhead.
Yeah. apparently like we can't take showers longer than like 5 minutes now in
Oh
California.
no, it's the 3,000 gallon rule or whatever it's called now. It's ridiculous. You're only allowed to use 3,000 gallons in a month.
I couldn't even believe it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, how? So I was like, all right. So every day I'm like, do I water my plants or do I take a shower?
It's called build fucking desalination plants and just figure it out. Start funneling or giving tax breaks.
Why haven't we started doing
giving
that?
Tax breaks to desal? Well, we already do. I mean, desalination technology is completely already there. We could easily start implementing it within the next 50 to 100 years. There's absolutely no reason to start fucking screwing people over in the state of California for these freaking reasons. But that's what crazy
because
leftist
of
politics does.
Yeah,
in
they
my opinion.
want the money.
They want the money right now.
They want it now.
Yeah, fuck them, dude. It's disgusting.
They say they care about their kids, but they want the money.
Dude, I mean, some of these people don't even understand like how corrupt a lot of the politicians in California are. It's a full-on career. I mean, it's worse than getting a tenured position as a teacher. You know, which I'm fully in favor of. I mean, I'm absolutely okay with tenured positions. But tenured politicians is just bullshit.
I'm a huge believer in term limits.
Term limits, yeah. I believe in term limits too.
Yeah. You shouldn't have being a career politician shouldn't be, because then that's just whoever gives you the most money you're going to go with. That's just what it feels like to me. It's not fair. It's not fair to the people if your job is to be a politician.
Well, I mean, the idea
that's why the establishment hates Donald Trump, because he doesn't need he was already a billionaire before he became president, and they're like, fuck, we can't buy this guy off.
Yeah,
he's not some fucking senator from Illinois.
Yeah, he's not some senator.
He's apparently lost like some just ridiculous number of millions of dollars since he became president.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, it's not like so for everyone who thinks that like he did it for, you know, so that he'd get more money, they're insane. I mean, it's the most retarded. He's just gonna take all the money and he's just gonna abuse being president in order to make himself richer. No, I mean, it's the exact opposite of that. 100% the exact opposite of that. He has served to do nothing more than take money from his own bank account.
Here's
so why would he do that?
Here's the thing. Here's where a lot of people why they don't like him is he's not a politician. He's not what when we look at a president, or you think of what a president is, he does not fit the mold. He's a slick talking real estate agent from New York.
Yeah, but I think
what I'm saying is that a lot. He does lie. So I understand why people don't. I understand why people don't like him. I get why I voted for Gary Johnson. That's who I voted for. I didn't vote for either Clinton or Trump, but I get why people don't like him. But you cannot take away from the fact of what he's done.
I mean, he just got nominated for the fucking Nobel Peace Prize.
Did he really?
By like two Norwegian senators or something like that?
Did he really? I didn't hear about that. Did he really?
Two Norwegian congressmen or two Norwegian government officials in some way, shape, or form legitimately nominated him for the fucking Nobel Peace Prize over this whole Kim Jong-un shit.
They're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we're finally seeing
some. They're like, my ninja. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, fuck it. I mean, I think the Iran nuclear deal, I think, was probably a bigger win. I think us getting out of things like the Paris Accord for the climate change bullshit was another win. I think that us potentially getting some sort of a wall built on the border to Mexico is another potential win. If he gets those things done, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have a lot of bad arguments other than just claiming that he's some sort of a racist or sexist or whatever else. I mean, he's employed more women than almost every other president prior to him has since they were president. I don't know. People don't like
it. He also, I believe,
there's like more women in the White House that have White House positions under his White House than Obama did.
For Trump and for his company too, I think he had more minorities and women in high-ranking positions. Like he was like in the top 5 companies of like women and minorities in high-ranking positions.
He likes strong individuals.
He likes strong-willed people. Yeah, he likes people who just are gonna fucking go get it done.
And I don't think that has anything to do with him like purposely putting women. I love
General Mad Dog Mattis. Have you seen that interview where it's like?
I've never even heard Mattis speak.
Oh, there's an interview where this guy asks him, he's like, "What keeps you up at night?" And he goes, Nothing. I keep other people. He goes, I keep other people up at night. And I was like,
What a gangster.
A gangster general.
America.
Well, I think that you know, for everyone who has a short-term memory problem or a long-term memory problem, in that for that case, who forgets things like 9/11, who forgets the fact that, you know, America more or less is hated by a lot of poor nations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who don't like how much freedom we have. Russia is one of those poor nations who doesn't like how much freedom we have. And the fact that they've had to more or less take a lot of the freedoms from their own people to get what little power they do have, which is just a bunch of fucking weapons. It's really not a whole lot else.
It's just nuclearization.
Yeah.
That's all it is, just nuclearization.
And I feel like Russia has, over the last like couple of years, especially under Obama, was flexing their muscles a lot. And Obama wasn't doing shit. And I think that one of the things that's cool with what Trump is doing is that he actually is trying to strengthen the military to the point where we can actually compete with some of the stuff that Russia is building. And that may sound like a really stupid and funny thing, but
well, I think Trump is also doing that.
Have you been paying attention to Russia's weapons?
Yeah.
The weapons that they have now make nuclear bombs look like fucking a walk in the park.
Yeah, they're silly.
Nuclear bombs are just, oh, you know, the worst nuclear bomb you could ever possibly think of. Yeah, guess what? That's no longer the biggest.
We got a bomb the size of the fucking Kremlin.
They have these things. I don't know. Wasn't there like a movie that came out not too long ago where they were like, they had like some satellite that could like, it was like a railgun from space. You guys remember that?
It was like a James Bond. It was like a Mission Impossible.
Was it like a Mission Impossible or a James Bond movie?
It was
like a railgun from space. Basically, it shot like pillars of like, you know, like
just a turret of missiles
of like metal, but it sent it from space. There's no propulsion to it at all. No propulsion.
What movie was that?
Right? There was some movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it was like, dude, and in the movie, it shows how devastating this stuff is. But essentially what you're doing is you're creating comet impacts at will. Comet impacts.
Just dropping meteors on people.
So we know what comets have done to the Earth in the past. There are weapons now that at some point in time could be more powerful than some of the most powerful asteroidal or comet impacts in all of Earth's history.
That would
completely destroy all of humanity in one bomb.
You know what?
One bomb dropped.
That'll get the aliens. That'll get the aliens to show up. They're like, hold the phone here, okay? We gotta step in here now. All right, you guys. We just did. Putin just built the Death Star. Putin the 22nd just built the Death Star.
I'm serious.
And we've got to go ahead and just put a damper on this one right here. We're going to stop that one.
They're called like high velocity, like something plasma energy. Or they have some sort of fucking
shoot
cool name
beams from space at you.
Yeah.
We just take
it's how are you
even supposed to protect yourself?
You can't
run.
It's completely
run like a son of a bitch.
It's completely impossible.
You see anything funny in the sky coming at you?
Run.
Or you better dig a hole. You better start digging a hole.
There's nothing that we can fire at it that will go faster than it's already traveling.
Because it's coming in at our speed of gravity, whatever.
It's coming in at like the fastest possible speed something can fucking travel at.
Way past the fucking sound barrier.
Ridiculous bullshit.
It's made of like fucking vibranium from fucking the Avengers.
It is
shit. You're like, God damn it.
It's some vibranium shit.
Stupid Tony
So
Stark.
why on earth would we allow Russia for 8 years to build weapons like that and not flex the muscle just a little bit? Instead, we empower Iran by potentially giving them nuclear weapons, which is something I'd actually like to talk about because that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, especially with the Iran nuclear deal.
Okay, talk about the Putin thing really quick. I got to take a piss, and then we can go right back to the Iran thing.
Okay, cool.
The fact that you haven't peed yet is fucking incredible.
I usually have a very intensely small bladder, too. I'm surprised that I've been able to last so long.
You're just so excited for your first podcast. That's all it is.
I guess it's something like that.
Trust me, when we're done, you're going to get a high. It's a high.
I hope so.
You'll see when we're done. When we're done.
I hope so. I hope the people out there actually enjoy fucking listening to my ass.
Dude, on the Facebook end, I've been looking at it. Like a lot of people have been watching. They've tuned in and out. But I mean,
yeah, I don't expect anybody to sit here and watch the entire thing.
But I mean, I think the numbers are going to be pretty high on this one.
Well, I mean, I hope so too. Not to blow.
And I didn't do any because I know you guys. This is like our test run because I hope and I'd love to do more podcasts with you guys after this. Yeah. So we got to get you some headphones. We got to get another microphone.
Yeah, we got to get you a full on fucking setup, man.
But you know what? Even the mic setup like that was.
I'll buy a mic, man. I don't mind.
We'll get some stands and stuff. You know, we'll get it all. I'm sure we can splice everything together and make it work. But I mean,
we'll all come here, hang out.
Hell yeah, you guys got to come back for sure. All right, but keep talking really quick. I'm gonna piss. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but dude, if you haven't heard about these fucking nuclear, like, dude, these weapons are scary as fuck, bro. There's some video I saw.
I can't imagine like having to like be actually part of that kind of like life, you know? Because I mean, there's people right now. What is that in like Syria, and like you know places surrounding in that.
Well, like, I just recently saw
that area that are being like bombed. And,
I was showing like
people are being like torn apart. It's just,
dude, think about this. In places in the Middle East, now they're bombed to shit, like Syria, Lebanon.
Yeah, man, it's really sad.
All over Egypt, Libya, places like that. These places used to be beautiful. Like you and me, if we had grown up in like the 80s, 70s, 80s, we could have traveled to these places and gone to like beautiful resorts, and I mean, just lived like kings. You know what I mean? In these foreign countries, and it would have been perfectly fine. No one would have worried that, hey, you know, a couple Westerners are coming over here to, you know,
try to
hang out in our hotels and eat our food and fucking walk around in our cities and stuff like that. But now it's a huge fucking deal. And a lot of that has been spread out in the last like 30 years.
So what changed?
I think I think it's without getting like too specific, because my personal reasons like why I think it's changing are a little bit deeper than like maybe I could potentially go to. That might have to be another podcast, but
they could have been. So you're saying it could have been a lot of things.
It's certainly a lot of things. Yeah. But without going too deep into them, you know, there's just this. There was a resentment to the speed at which Western society was growing throughout the early 1900s, and a lot of foreign nations saw the rise of our economies and, you know, just the prosperity so quickly that it's hard
of our
nation, like the United States, you know, even places. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say all of South America, but much of Mexico and Canada are absolutely a part of that. North America, at least, as far as what they were able to achieve by trading and creating and exporting, you know, a lot of goods to the rest of the world. That made a lot of other smaller nations, you know, really jealous of that. And it's really hard to compete with that type of a might once it's already established. You know, a lot of times people call that privilege.
So wait, Russia was the one that was trading with America, or
well, Russia basically for the longest time was essentially isolated, mostly by itself.
Okay. So they weren't trading. They weren't trading
with a whole lot with anybody. No.
Any foreign imports.
No. And it wasn't until, you know, they mostly started trading with the West, Europe, and sometimes a little bit with China, but even then China wasn't much of a coalesced country. They were more like a bunch of different tribes and smaller governments that had been, you know, hadn't necessarily been united yet. But that's a whole other story too, because, you know, communism essentially is what spread throughout the early, you know, 19th century. You don't know whose beer is whose now?
No, I just opened a beer with a full beer. Who needs a beer?
I'm fine. I just actually opened one myself.
You opened one?
No, there's two open beers.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, you're just have to get real drunk now, bud.
All right.
And you're the man who just went to the bathroom. So what I wanted to talk about now that we've been just like kind of like blowing steam here is that what I was just about to talk about prior to this.
Perfect.
Is nuclear weapons and the nuclear deal in Iran, because I think a lot of people are misinformed on this particular topic, and it's something that I talked about at work a little bit. So I apologize, Sway, if you're kind of having to hear this a second time, but
I'm pretty drunk off of this PBR.
Hey, they're 5%.
Hey man, I have a high tolerance to alcohol, so
they're 5%. They're no joke. They're no joke.
I'm not used to drinking PBR. This is like a first time in a while.
We'll give a little product shout out to
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst.
I think that, like, if you ever start like
actually
making money,
they've
from
had
your
they've had a
podcast-
shout out the entire
if you ever
entire
start,
time.
If you ever start making money from your podcast, I'm pretty sure you have to like take all this stuff down, unless you have like permission and stuff like that. We'll have to like block out our beers. With,
there
like,
are
tape
a
and stuff.
ton of
Copyright.
infringements. Hopefully they like my podcast. They're like, you know what? Keep it up. We're good.
Here's some cool
Like
swag.
Dos Equis, Bud Light, Rip Curl.
Hang on a second. My landlord is kind of freaking out on whether or not I'm recording the World Cup for him tomorrow. I'm not a huge fan of the World Cup,
speaking of the World Cup, North America,
we can get into that.
2026 will be hosting the World Cup.
Tell me
Canada,
about that. We just
USA,
figured this out, right?
Canada, USA, and Mexico came together and said, "Yo, we will just host the World Cup as a nation, like as one nation, North America." And FIFA was like, "Bet." So it's the World Cup's coming back to the United, and all the World Cup games from the quarterfinals on will be in the USA.
Wow.
Yep. My daughter's gonna be like 10 when that happens. Hopefully she really likes soccer. And I'm like, we're going to the World Cup.
Dude, how old's your daughter now?
She'll be 2 on the 14th of July, dude.
14th of July.
So-
Wow, you have a daughter?
Almost 2-year-old.
Dude, happy Father's Day this Sunday, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
yeah, man.
that. Hey,
Oh, yeah,
man.
man.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is Father's Day
cheers.
this Sunday, everybody.
It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the motherfuckers out there.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Get that
my
joke?
son Benjamin.
Yeah. Well, happy Father's Day to all the motherfuckers out there.
Funny. Okay, so to bring it back, because I really just want to get this
here
out
we go.
really quick, because it's such
And then
a
we'll
fascinating
probably
thing.
wrap it up after this.
Really,
Yeah,
Because we got to wrap
cool.
this up at one
Let's wrap
point
it
or
up.
another.
Yeah.
If you want to wrap it up,
Sway's
now, we
gonna
can.
no. Let's
I mean, we
let's
can
go
certainly
ahead.
get into this a different
We've
time.
already teased it. We've already talked
we've
about it.
teased it.
I went to pee. We should probably bring it.
I'm a
Even
huge
though
nerd.
Sway looks like he's about to fucking pass the fuck out.
I'm a huge nerd. Okay,
It's all
look,
right. I'm just really high.
I'm
All
a
right,
huge nerd.
We'll wrap it up after this.
I'm a huge fucking nerd at the end of the day. Okay,
Don't feel like we have to minimalize it either. We talk for another hour.
I'm
but-
not
I'm
minimizing
fine
it.
with
I'm
it,
just
too.
saying. I basically, long story short, I love chemistry. Something I may potentially become more
Nerd.
passionate about as I get older. As I've learned more about it, it's just become a really fascinating subject to me, and it's something that I've been doing a lot of studying on myself personally. And one of the things that sort of stuck out to me early on was the fact that nuclear bombs use very specific elements in order to produce the reactions that blow giant explosions up and destroy
Yeah.
and kill lots of people. Okay. And over the time that we've been just, figuring out how to make these things work, we've discovered that certain elements, and specifically certain isotopes of elements, are more powerful and more effective than others. Uranium is obviously something that we've all heard of. Uranium,
Yeah.
right? You think of nuclear bombs, you think of
Yeah.
uranium,
Think of
right?
I
That's the
think of
first thing.
table of elements.
First thing that comes to my mind is James Bond
James Bond, right? Okay.
every time.
But uranium is one of those things. Well, uranium has many isotopes, of which a lot of them are actually not stable enough to produce a nuclear explosion. Okay. And so we need a very specific type of nuclear or of uranium isotope in order to get the nuclear bombs that we use to blow up Nagasaki and Hiroshima in World War II to occur. Now, in order to get those bombs to occur, you need just uranium. Okay. And uranium is something that's actually kind of easy to find. You can find it. It's rare, but you can still get a hold of it. Okay. And you can extract it from stuff, and you can process it into
Yeah.
things that you can make nuclear
But
bombs with.
Where'd
do you
you
know
find
what
this?
you can extract it from?
But
Yeah.
just it's something that you extract from rock. I mean, it's a mining, it's a big mining operation where you eventually it's like a yellowish
Is it a stone?
it is it's more of like a rock. It's like a mineral
Mhm.
type of a
So you can find it in like just is it just random where you find it? Or they're,
no,
like,
I mean
pocketed areas?
there are specific regions of Earth that have more or less of it, but
Okay, we'll talk about that other thing. Keep going.
yeah. So to move on,
Don't want you to lose your train of
to
thought.
move along from that, more specifically, the most effective and the most useful type of nuclear exploding isotopes of nuclear elements is plutonium. You may have heard of plutonium before. But plutonium, like many of the elements on the periodic table
or Futurama,
are not naturally occurring.
Right.
Okay, many people don't know this, but when you've seen the periodic table of elements at school or in your science books, okay, you see that there's like lots of them, right? There's like 110 or 100 and something like 189 or something.
There's a lot of elements.
There's a lot of them. Okay, there's over 100, and when you're looking at there, you may think to yourself, all of these things must be naturally occurring.
No, all the ones on the bottom though, right?
There is some science to like how things are ordered and stuff like that, but not necessarily all the ones on the bottom. But many of the ones on the lower end are not necessarily naturally occurring. But they are occurring in the sense that we can create chemical reactions that
where you would be able to produce
them. Okay, so once we produce these chemical reactions, we can create something like plutonium, which without chemical reactions created by humans, we would never have. Okay. And plutonium is by far and away one of the most powerful nuclear weapons there is known to man. Right. Okay. And it is pretty much specifically only used for nuclear weapons once we have it. Okay. It's plutonium. Yes, it's this thing.
Hasn't there been
only a nuclear thing?
I've heard of space travel with it.
You could use nuclear engines and stuff like that, but it's still a nuclear process essentially at the end of the day that's producing the propulsion.
Got it.
But plutonium, more or less, is an extremely rare resource. Uranium, like I was talking about before, you could actually mine. You could actually go out and you could find some, you could mine it out of the ground, and you get it, right?
That's what they made the Hiroshima.
That's what they made the first nuclear bombs with. But plutonium you can't get without making it.
It has to be extracted from nuclear plants.
Exactly.
Right.
It has to be extracted from a nuclear power plant.
It's not a byproduct.
So now it's a byproduct of a nuclear power plant. So what I was trying to tell you before was the Iran nuclear deal. A lot of people don't understand what the Iran nuclear deal actually says or what it does. But really all it actually did was restrict the use of nuclear power plants for about 10 years. That's it. Specifically 10 years, it included most of Obama's second term and a lot of what will become Trump's first and potentially second terms.
Right.
And during that period of time, they can't use nuclear power plants. Mm-hmm. But after years, they can go right back to using nuclear power plants. And that's part of the Iran nuclear deal that Trump and the White House and part of Congress was really fucking upset about. And so they wanted that deal to change. They wanted that deal, to include that you can never have nuclear power plants. And a lot of people go, well, why would you want to take nuclear power away from Iran? Well, Iran is like the 5th largest oil producer. They don't need energy from nuclear bombs.
Okay? They have
from nuclear power plants.
Oil,
They have plenty of oil and other sources of energy in order to produce that. So much that they have a surplus, and that is their biggest export.
Right.
The thing that they make most of their money from the outside world that they trade with is oil. So they can produce all the energy that they need, and they can have so much that they have a surplus that they can trade with the rest of the world. They don't need nuclear power. Okay, so any idiot that's out there trying to tell you, well, you're just stealing sovereignty from the... No, you're not. They have plenty of fucking goddamn energy over there already, okay? What they really want is plutonium. And the only reason that they want plutonium is because they'd like to become another North Korea. North Korea is a nothing country that's tiny, right? But they're swinging their big dick around like they should and like they can because they have nuclear bombs. Yeah. And Iran would be able to do the same thing. And if a Muslim-controlled country like Iran, and yes, I did say Muslim-controlled country, were to have a nuclear bomb like that, they would be the only true ones, now that Libya's gone, they would be the only true ones to have nuclear weapons, and they would be an extremely powerful force. And they would be able to swing their big dick around of potentially adding Sharia law to the rest of the world, which would be terrible. A lot easier.
Look at it. Look at Germany too. When you speak about Sharia law, and it's like that's not it's not a far-fetched idea, and that's something that a lot of people on the left and the right agree with. If you look at Bill Maher, for example, he is very, very anti-Muslim. But you said you had a question, so what did you wanted to get my take on what I think about us pulling out of the Iran deal?
Well, I mean, I just think what did you know about the Iran nuclear deal prior to us either pulling out of it or going into it during Obama and pulling out of it during Trump? And were you aware of the more pressing details of the fact that plutonium was their original goal?
No.
And plutonium was actually the only thing that they would need to have some of the most powerful nuclear weapons on Earth.
Well, there's two sides to this coin. I knew of the Iran deal. I knew that it had to do with nuclear power plants, but I did not know in depth what you told me about the plutonium and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's because there was just another flavor of the week next week that came up on my news feed and I didn't look into it, or that the things that I read just didn't go into that amount of detail. I can't tell you that because I don't have the answer to that. But no, I did not know all that information that you just told me. And that's definitely something. Now looking back, it's like, hell yeah, I'm glad we got the fuck out of that deal. Jesus Christ, that would have been
most
dumb.
People would agree
that'd be ridiculous. Especially, yeah, they have oil for days. Like they don't need more money. Like, yeah, like when you, and that's so funny too because it always comes back to following the money.
It's following the money. It's doing your research on how political.
And guess where they probably got the money to build those fucking nuclear power plants. From all the fucking oil they were fucking making.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Fucking all right. And on that note, we're gonna wrap it up here for the day.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking Sway. It's fucking awesome, guys. Marcus, that was fucking legendary. Once again, you guys, this has been another episode of the Nick Kaling podcast. Tune in next time we are on, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Take care.
Peace.
Oh man, that was fucking great.
Hell yeah.
Bye.